Robert Walsh behind 31 points, 8 rebounds, 11 assists for Jaden Tatum, and 21 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists for the Finals MVP Jaylen Brown. The Celtics blew out the Dallas Mavericks 106-88 to win the 2024 NBA Finals, winning a record-setting 18th NBA title on the 16th anniversary of the day they won their 17th in the same building. In doing so, the Celtics passed their forever rivals, the Los Angeles Lakers, for the most titles in NBA history. The AFC North is ready for its close-up. The division, best known for its heated rivalries and star quarterbacks, will be featured on the in-season edition of HBO's Hard Knocks series this year. It is the first time the Emmy Award-winning series has chronicled an entire division. Last season, the AFC North's 4 teams finished with winning records. That is the first time a division has done that in the Super Bowl era. And June 26th, make sure you make plans to be at Game Terminal for RKW. Plenty of food, drinks, games, anything that you could think of. Mario Kart, Mortal Kombat, any game that you want to play, you can beat Ramon Foster in. Make sure you're there. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your own for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Good Tuesday morning, fine people. Not only in Middle Tennessee, but all over the country. We've got people tuning in all over, and hopefully we can make your Tuesday that good. It's a beautiful morning here alongside our NFL veteran. It is Ramon Foster back in the house. We've got Robert Walsh. It looks like he's doing a little bit better today. He has got some sleep, so he is alive now at 6:03. I'm Kayla Anderson, and this is Ramon, Kayla, and Will. How are y'all doing this morning?
Hey, I'm still recovering from that. I couldn't imagine.
Well, you did something directly after
I did.
Slay's wedding.
I did. I flew from Long Beach, California to Georgia right after it to go see my boys and my wife on Father's Day, which was, by the way, I'm going to say before I got to Georgia, I had a connecting flight in Salt Lake City.
Yes. Oh, that's kind of random, by the way.
Hear me out. I'll try to connect there every chance I get.
Really?
That is by far the best looking airport, the cleanest airport. Okay,
because no one goes there.
Let me tell you, it was jam. Kayla, it was beautiful.
No, it
really
is very
was.
nice. It is very
clean.
Nice. It's clean.
The restrooms.
That's how Utah does it. They're very. Oh, did you buy yourself a Utah Hockey Club's shirt?
I did not. I should have.
I'm so ashamed of you.
I told my wife, I said, look, we got to go to Salt Lake City. Like,
it is
I'm
beautiful.
telling you, we have to go there. There was one of those places I saw, like, flying. I'm like, Utah is just very flat, first and foremost. And then the mountains in the background and everything. But, Kayla, it just looked like, okay, let me at least experience what this looked like. Only in the wintertime, I think, too. I kind of want to go when it's cold.
There. Yeah, there's not really a point to do it in the summer because they're not really known for a ton during the summer.
Exactly.
They're known for, like, the mountains and the beauty during the winter time.
Yeah,
so I think that's a good.
But let me tell you this. For someone who had to go to the restroom directly, immediately after getting off the plane, I'm appreciative of how clean the restrooms were. It was wood decorations everywhere.
That's nice.
It was private stalls. It was clean. It was
innovative. Like the ones where you can go maybe number 2 and like no one will hear
Nobody,
you?
Yes, it was one of those types of places.
I love that. I love that.
It really was.
Y'all know what I'm talking about, so don't act like I'm trying to lie here.
The airport was amazing in Utah. Okay, I had a P.F. Chang's in there. If I had
bathroom?
time, no, in there. It better not have any Asian fusion food in the bathroom. It's probably what sends you to the restroom. But it was an amazing weekend. So I flew to Georgia immediately after it and went and baked in the sun in my son's games this weekend.
Yeah, and RJ did
had
amazing.
One. Yeah, he did. I sent you guys a a video of my introvert wife just losing her mind. Our kid almost went over the fence again.
Shout
this
out,
weekend.
Keisha, man.
She was a trooper this
You've
week.
got to be, if you're going to go out, she busts her booty going out to all these games, right?
She did.
So she has all the right to be as crazy of a mom, as supportive as a mom as she wants, vocally.
She's definitely vocally. She gets it in. But this weekend, though, this wedding, it's a lot to unpack.
Dude. Okay, so because I got to hear Bert's stories yesterday.
Yeah.
Because I listened to Buck's show too, which was hilarious.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see how your stories come together for maybe something you can share from what happened in Long Beach.
It was amazing. Okay, the wedding setting was awesome. It was over like this pier. It was cool as heck, man. The breeze was amazing. Like, it was direct sunlight, but the breeze in Long Beach is way different than being in LA. Yeah. I think it probably was maybe 30 degrees cooler.
What was the temps? By the way?
I think it was like 70s, low 80s, if that.
Ooh,
it was like a 68. Like right in the middle of the day.
Really?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was beautiful, and the breeze off of it too. We went to the pier on Friday night. Bert and I, by the way, we
are alive, first of all.
We are alive. Somebody needed to give us better directions. Okay, we got dropped off at the beach, and we had to go to Pier 19.
Oh, no.
We had to go to Pier 19, okay? And you know, most times you get dropped off at the beach, you're probably close to your destination.
Right.
We started walking.
Oh, no.
Okay, mind you, I had on some white flats. Bert had on some Nike slides or something, okay? Ill-prepared, Kayla.
Sounds
Pier
like
19's, like, we got off at 28, Bert, if I'm not mistaken. Pier 28.
28. And you would think, like, oh, okay, like that would be pretty quick. They would happen in succession. Okay, we'll get here quickly.
Yep.
All of those things would be incorrect.
Incorrect as hell, okay?
So you walked through the sand at that?
Let me tell you this. I felt like I understood why they call it Long Beach now, okay?
There you go.
Bert kept telling me this as we're walking, Kayla. We get dropped off at 28, and I'm expecting, okay, 19's not that far away from, 28. We walk. And then I started realizing, and Bert started realizing, these piers are probably about a quarter of a mile?
Oh, wow.
Easily.
Between each one. Okay, but between each one, by the end of our walk, okay, we walked so long, my Apple Watch said, "Do you want to log a workout?"
You're like, dang, bonus.
Do I want to log a workout? And we just kept walking.
Were you in the sand, though?
No, we were on the pathway.
Okay, you were on so at least you didn't have that sand grind,
and
right?
for what it's worth, it was beautiful.
It was, and it was breezy.
It was breezy. The sun was setting.
So you had some bonding time.
Yeah.
Oh, we did.
Great.
Did we bond?
Did we
It's
ever?
surprised we didn't come back. I didn't have to go to Atlanta with him
Yeah, right.
to watch the baseball game.
Joint at the hip.
We were
Literally.
this weekend. Okay, we walked almost 2 miles to Pier 19. It logged us a 40-minute walk, Bert, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
That's a fair estimate.
Yeah, about 40 minutes. And then when we get to the bonfire on the beach, okay?
So this was the bonfire on Friday. Okay.
It was the bonfire Friday. We get there, and Bert, how long we spend? About like maybe 25, 30 minutes before everybody else started packing up?
Long enough for the Vols to win.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's a good thing.
We saw the walk-off on the beach.
Perfect.
That was lit, too.
That
We were
was
going
awesome.
crazy.
That's perfect.
But immediately, as soon as this is just Friday, as soon as we get to the doggone bonfire, man, it was just love. Drinks were being passed around. Hugs were given out.
Who was already passed out?
Man, nobody was passed out.
We were passing out.
Passing
We
out
were passing out drinks. We were, Kayla, it was only 6 o'clock, man.
What did she think of us?
Come on.
I forget the West Coast time. I always forget. It's 2 hours earlier than us.
This is just
But that wind was whipping too.
Was it?
The factors were not in our favor. It was a great bonfire, great ambiance, but the wind was whipping. It was getting cold. The sand was biting at your ankles.
It was kicking ass, okay? It really was. But it was like Bert said, you see why people live in California.
Yeah.
The breeze, the ocean. And again, after walking almost 2 miles to Pier 19, I again see why they call Long Beach. Because that beach was long as hell.
That's incredible. And I never thought about it like that. But now I'm like, you know what? That makes sense, doesn't it?
Man, I ran into a relative that was not ready to start walking, okay? they had the same situation as us. And I see somebody in the distance. I'm like, that looks like one of my relatives right there. I'm going to keep the identity.
Oh, you're not going to say the name.
I'm going to keep the identity hidden, okay? I was like, it looked like one of my relatives. I was like, nah, it can't be. Because you know why? This person stopped and put their hands on their hips as if they was tired from walking.
And did the healing over, like...
Yes, and I told Bert, I was like, nah, I can't be one of my family members stopping
I have a feeling this person is supposed to be athletic.
Yes, supposed to be, okay? And we pulled up on him, and I said, Bert, yep, that's exactly who I thought it was. Let's just say Bert and I passed these people by, and we probably made it there probably 20 minutes before them, Bert.
I felt bad for them because as soon as they rolled up, they really had the track. You know what I mean?
Say, and no one was there at that point. Or you guys?
we were yucking it up. We were laughing, making fun of other people at the beach. Like time was passing for us. Like they really worked hard to get there, and then everybody was like, "All right, Roscoe's, we going to we'll see you at Roscoe's."
Roscoe's chicken and waffles,
right?
Hey, which also
that's what Buck said.
What a delicatessen!
Yeah,
it was.
Enjoyed that.
It was. I'm telling you, if there was a Roscoe's here, I would also have trouble walking.
See, they've got some places over there.
This is just night one. We ain't even talked about the wedding, man. But the wedding in itself was phenomenal.
Amazing.
No,
I heard Dawn.
That's my dog.
Put out her dance moves.
I wish somebody would go at Dawn about anything. Bert, are we willing to go to jail for Dawn?
I'm telling you.
That's what Buck said.
After this weekend, Dawn already had my respect, but now she has my undying allegiance. Like Dawn could be like,
she want to play.
She did. Dawn is the ultimate rider. There is not many things Dawn could do to make me fold after this weekend.
Me either, Kayla. I was just like, she's 100% correct. Get out of her way in traffic, okay? Let Dawn Babsy do whatever the hell she wants to, because after this weekend, Kayla, to your point, she cooked.
And the other thing y'all need to know is that behind every great woman, there is a great man.
Right.
Dude. Travis.
Yeah. I've met Travis.
Yo.
On a couple occasions.
It should be more.
It should be more. Stop hiding him.
Yeah, quit. What are you doing? What you got the golden goose locked up for?
Us women got to be careful. I'll get into that at a later time.
They were all great.
That sounds awesome.
It was cool watching them because Travis, her husband, was very much so just like, okay, all right. Maybe one more drink, okay? Yep. And you could just tell the relationship was so cool because she was just super lovey-dovey and kissing him on the plane. And I was like, that's love right there, boy.
I tried to get Ramon to take a picture of me like that. And he was like, we got to switch. He's like, you got to get another lane.
I wish you would have.
We also had an FBI agent in our lane.
We did.
He would not admit it.
Oh, the one on the end?
He would not admit it, but
I could tell something was up with him.
He was
just
definitely keeping tax on us.
We got so much more to unpack, man.
I don't even.
My goodness. You know what? I should not have come to work today. I should have taken the day off and let you guys just tell stories for 4 hours. I think that's what we should have done.
Plenty.
Yeah.
By the way, it wouldn't have been able to survive in Nashville either. That wedding wouldn't have been possible in Nashville.
So now we know it was meant to be.
It was meant to be out there. I'm going to be honest. It was, Kayla, we got so much more.
Well, I don't need any more FOMO. I already got enough of it.
Now I got to get married.
Although I had a good weekend.
No, the comments are asking, was it Renardo that we saw walking? No, it wasn't Nardo.
Yeah, he's not going to say.
It was not my other brother,
So don't try
Nardo.
to get it out of him. So stop asking. All right, we got a big show for you coming up today on RKW. Just in about a few minutes, we're going to talk about Rory McIlroy breaking his silence after his huge collapse this past weekend, and what it means in terms of him taking time off from golf. We'll get into that. Plus, biggest move made by the Titans that will pay the biggest dividends. I'm excited to hear your guys's. Plus, Austin Price coming up in hour 3 to talk some Vols. Big recruiting weekend for them this past weekend. And Samaria Terry, my good friend from News 2. I know you guys know her as well. She has some good nuggets on the Titans and what some of the former Titan greats are saying about this team. That is all coming up on RKW here on 104.5 The Zone. Hey, this is the time of year that you want to get out, do all the things that you love to do. I mean, you heard about Ramon and Bert talking about their walk on the beach, and maybe you can't do those type of things because you're dealing with joint pain. This is the best time for being outside, but not if your knees, shoulders, back, or hips are hurting. And you don't have to suffer any longer, though. It's Kayla Anderson. I've got some good news for you. Non-surgical joint pain relief is here. It is at QC Kinetics, and you can call them today. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. I'm talking about long-lasting joint pain relief, no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. QC Kinetics advanced treatments harness your own body's ability to restore damaged tissue and repair that damaged tissue so you can walk, run, hike, play golf, whatever you want to do, again, pain-free. Their advanced protocols have enabled tens of thousands of patients to reclaim their mobility back. You can be one of them and live your best life again. So you can call them now for a free consultation. It's QC Kinetics at 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. Welcome back into RKW. Kayla Anderson, Ramon Foster in studio today, holding it down. Somebody that did not hold it down over the weekend at the U.S. Open was Rory McIlroy.
Man, Kayla.
Womp womp. Man, I was talking with Brad yesterday, Brad Hopkins, about this, Ramon, because we obviously touched on this and touched on Bryson DeChambeau's huge win, his second U.S. Open win, right?
Powered through, too.
Powered through and did not play perfect either, especially on that final day, but found ways to win, especially on that last hole with that incredible up and down performance that obviously, ended up winning it for him. But we were talking about, so what's the bigger headline? Is it that Bryson DeChambeau, who, by the way, will be here this weekend for the LIV
That's right.
tournament down in the Grove. So if you're going down there, you're probably going to get to watch a fresh champion off of the U.S. Open.
The U.S., which is big time,
it's huge,
too.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
And there's
Kayla.
other big names there.
No doubt.
There's a lot of guys on that tour.
But what a draw he is from coming off the U.S. Open. That's a draw.
Is that a draw? I thought so. But we were saying, what's the bigger story? And honestly, Ramon, at the time yesterday, I think Bryson DeChambeau winning was. Just because it's not often that a guy wins 2 U.S. championships within 4 years at that.
Majors,
Majors, yeah. But then you cannot look away from the fact that Rory McIlroy completely, blew it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another opportunity that Rory had to win and win a major at that. He hasn't done that since 2014. And he's got 4. He would like 5, obviously,
right,
if not more. But it's just getting to that point has been a struggle for him, Ramon.
It has.
And so much so that he darted off the course into his car and left. Did not talk to the media, did not congratulate anybody. He was gone in a matter of minutes. And that's obviously documented. And then yesterday, they came out, his camp came out with a statement. And obviously he wrote it or, said for his team to write it. And we'll get to it in just a second. But I just wanted to open it up to you, first and foremost, about the whole situation with him leaving and your thoughts on athletes in general when they have an issue or they don't complete something that they would have liked to complete and dart away from their duties as a professional athlete. What does that mean?
Man, so the whole situation to me I thought was unique. One, as we talk about, Rory is trying to get back. Some private stuff with him and his family became public. And, like you said, hadn't won major, had some stuff around them. Just got to get back to playing golf. And it says in the article, too, also, he ended up watching the last hole, I think, in the, in the Champions Corner.
Right, where they signed their
watching
cards.
It. Yeah, where they signed their cards and everything. And he had a 2-stroke lead with 5 holes to play and all these types of things. And here's the thing, too. There's a difference in the individual, like sport, like golf or like track or, one of those Olympic sports. You're like, okay, that's this person versus person for the most part. He's not a part of a team, but he is because the PGA and everybody that's in it, this is their branding. That's the thing that got me with it. And to hear about Rory McIlroy leaving without speaking to the media, without congratulating the champion, I feel like we give a lot of crap to like football players, basketball players, and even baseball players too, as it pertains to, hey, you got to have good sportsmanship, and hey, you need to be a better friend and competitor in your high moments, which he was having all weekend, and then your low moments. And he pretty much said that watching Bryson DeChambeau, hit that bunker shot, crushed him.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it did.
Crushed him. And I was just of the mindset, and I saw this. I was just like, well, this is kind of tough right here.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to stick around. You're supposed to, be able to receive all things that come your way, good and bad, as a pro. I always say this about athletes. You're compensated for the bad part, too. Mm-hmm. Like, you play for free. That's the way I always said it. The game is free. It's the crap you got to deal with practice, the training, and doing press conferences and stuff like that. That's genuinely what you're paid for.
Which is not always fun.
It's not always fun at all. And Rory also released a statement, so I'll go through a little bit of it if you want to. He sent this out yesterday after not having a press conference and congratulating Bryson in person and everything. It's like, yesterday was tough. Probably the toughest I've had in my 17 years as a professional golfer. Firstly, I'd like to congratulate Bryson. He was a worthy champion and exactly what professional golf needs right now. I think we can all agree on that. As I reflect on my week, what he said, I'll rule a few things over the course of the tournament. Mostly the 2 missed putts on 16 and 18 on the final day. But as I always try to do, I'll look at the positives of the week that far outweigh the negative. As I said at the start of this tournament, I feel closer to winning my next major tournament than I ever have. The one word I would describe my career is resilient. I've shown my resilience over and over the last 17 years. Pretty much, he'll say he's taking the next 2 weeks off, and he'll see you in Scotland.
Yep.
He did all of that without saying why he left his presser. And I thought, to me, I've always been the one that answered the media. And it's probably more personal to me than almost anybody else. But I know we've had situations here, Kayla, where we have major players supposed to, locker cleanout day, don't speak to the media.
Ryan Tannehill.
And yes, we've had that happen. I've seen other players in other cities do these types of things. And it's a big hubbub. It can be a big hubbub about nothing, but it does somewhat mean something in these types of situations, especially when you're on the losing end. And you mentioned, and I brought this up in our group chat, we've had the Tannehill situation happen before where AJ was one of the main people that only spoke.
Well, he was the only
person.
Yeah, at locker cleanout that year.
And for me personally, I always look at that and say, all right, Rory, I know you're fighting, trying to figure out how to win that next major. And golf is a very tough sport also. It's a tough game. And
it's a mind-you-know-what sport.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling on how you win. Yeah, 100%. And I just looked at this situation like Rory deserves to be called out on this also. Yeah. You can't leave in these types of moments and expect everybody to exalt you if you do win also. I thought it was unprofessional of him. I give him a tip of the hat for releasing this statement afterwards, but you got to be able to sit there and answer these types of questions. Kayla, on your side of it, for somebody that covers sports also, when this type of stuff goes on to where the players don't stick around and answer questions in the tough moments, does that become somewhat bothersome to you too? Because, again, at the end of the day, we all are in this together, meaning the players, the press, the business. Everything has to somewhat work together. And I just thought where golf is right now, Rory shouldn't be allowed to get away with this one.
And I'm glad that you brought it to the table last night because we were obviously talking about, different topics, and it is the off season. So we're not going to talk about football for 4 hours. And I thought that was an interesting topic you brought up because I think a lot of fans can relate to it too when it's the end of a season and it doesn't go right and you're not hearing from your big time players. A lot of fans get frustrated with that, and then they've got to wait a while to actually get an explanation. And I know you can say on the players, point of it is, they don't have to do anything that, you expect them to do.
It's like,
some feel that way.
They can say what they want to.
Right.
But in this individualized sport of golf to where they have to have a rebranding.
Right.
Rory can't do that.
Well, and that's what I'm getting to is as a media member, I'm expected to do a job, and I don't have a lot of opportunities to ever make excuses. So when I look at me interviewing a player that is not for myself to get the answers and to, get what I want, it's for the fans.
It's for the fans.
That's what my job is to do, is to get the answers for the fans. I owe it to the fans to get the answers. They are not in that room. They are not in that building. And so I feel pretty intense on this situation because I dogged Caleb Williams last year when he didn't show up to a couple pressers, and I will stand to it. I think it was an immature move on his part, and it is a lot of reasons why I think he's got a lot of growing up to do at the NFL level because you can't do that at the professional level. But here we see Rory McIlroy, who skirted out and did exactly what we're saying, you shouldn't be doing. So I can't give Rory McIlroy a pass either. And I look at his situation as I understand he has been the face of trying to keep the PGA intact. And that is a huge burden on his shoulders.
It is.
It really is, because he has not had, all the support of the golfers because half of them went to live And half of those guys were big names. But he has had support from certain PGA players, and he has had support from the PGA, but he has done a lot for the PGA, and he has been the spokesperson and the mouthpiece for them. So I think that on top of how he lost it, and then you can add in it was to a live golfer, and I know you might say that's not it, Kayla. He's a competitor.
Yeah.
I'm sure in the back of his mind that meant something to him. You know, while he's happy for Bryson, it probably was a little bit frustrating that he wasn't the one hoisting the trophy and representing the PGA in the end, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those things where you don't get a pass, in my opinion. And I know emotions come into play and things come into play, and sometimes that happens, but he can't do that.
No.
It's not a good look for the game right now that's still in flux, and it's not a good look for him. I appreciate the statement that he made, but at the same time, he didn't even really say, hey, I apologize. I should have, spoke for the fans. I should have spoke out.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I didn't understand.
And my thing was too, and again, I'm gonna be touch and go with this next statement that I have to say, because again, a lot of things in sports now has come down to mental, right? The mental health of guys and stuff like that. And that to me, I feel like becomes a crutch in certain situations. It's like mentally I'm out of it. I've seen some guys play that mental card at times,
Well, you can speak firsthand about that.
I've seen guys play that mental, health card before, and it was only because they were having bad moments. Like, I was raised in an era to where if you got a tough moment, you just continue to work and grind, put your head down. Like, I've seen a few guys that I've played with or been around or been close to that play that card, and they're only playing that card because they've lost or they're losing, and they don't either want to put the work in or they just want to easy out. And I'm not saying Rory's looking for an easy out, but the idea of him being a pro, playing a professional game, has been one of the best in the world to do it at one point in time. You should have the mentality of, let me reset and go to the next one. Not let me take 2 weeks off. Again, I know some people are built differently than me. I've always been in a situation where when it comes down to if I can be there, I will. I was.
Right.
It wasn't a situation to where, all right, well, I get a day off because I'm not right mentally on these types of things. And I know golf is a very mental warfare when it comes down to you playing the course and your opponents too. But I've seen that as of late, and I'm just like, all right, how long can we proclaim to be world-class athletes at times and say that this is one of our bigger issues when that's what sports is in general? Sports is fighting through bad moments. Sports is having good moments and knowing how to handle them too. And I just see Rory's situation for somebody who had led for the most part all this past weekend in the U.S. Open, get to a point to where he crumbled, which is fine. That is sports to me. There's always somebody trying to beat you, right? And sometimes you just get got. I just hate that we've gotten to a point to where we can't just tip our hat to our opponent sometimes and say, you know what? You got me. I didn't think you were going to get me, but you got me. Because I look back to watching Tiger come up and the way he made certain golfers crumble. Like, that wasn't a him thing. That was a them thing when it comes down to them folding like that. I just can't wrap my hands around it sometimes when we're supposed to be some of the best athletes in the world.
Right.
And as it pertains to losing, we dropped the mental thing. And that, to me, I feel like we got to somewhat reshape that, I think.
Yeah.
And only because I've seen guys use it as a crutch, and I've seen some even young athletes use it as a crutch. And I'm just like, that's a slippery slope right there.
And there is and speaking to the mental health side of things.
And I'm all for mental health. Yes, 100%.
And I have watched firsthand, a Washington State football player take his own life back in college. Tyler Helinski, and they have the Helinski Hope Foundation.
Yes.
That is a serious, very thing that I stick up for.
100%.
But you've got to be able to find a balance too of getting through adversity of certain things especially at the level where you're a professional. And Rory has gone through a lot of stuff, and I think it's just resetting sometimes in those moments where it seems like awful that he, missed the putt at 18, right? And he completely whiffs, a tournament, a major. And instead of just getting up and darting to your car, like have a moment, get your team around you, regroup. If you talk to the media for 5 minutes, 2 minutes, I don't care. Just say something. Even if it's like, you know what, I'm going to be given a brief statement. I'm going to get to my car, right?
Yeah.
And I'm okay with him taking a few weeks off. That's actually not an issue to me. But the way that it was handled, that's the issue to me.
Yeah.
And to say that, it's an excuse because it was, I was in my, in my head or whatever, that's fine. Have all of that after the fact, but at least give that to the fans at that very moment.
On the front end of it. On the front end of it. Yes, 100%. I don't know. Again, I'm all for mental health and people being in the right space, but sometimes in moment of losing,
you got to face
like him running away from the media. I wasn't a fan. And I'm a Rory fan. I am. I was rooting for him to get that one this weekend.
I know.
And it sucks that it kind of, got a wet blanket because of the exit from the media obligations.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he's ready and the Open is back in kind of his part of the country. And I'm sure that's one he would love to get in Scotland. So maybe he's ready at that point and maybe that's where he gets his fifth major. We'll have to see. But somebody who got their 18th championship last night, the Boston Celtics. I don't know if y'all watched, but it was really an incredible scene, especially hearing from the players afterwards and just the adversity, speaking of adversity and things that they had to fight through when they were expected to win this thing, and they did it. We'll get into the Boston Celtics. They are the NBA championship winners. That's coming up next on RKW here. Hey, it's Kayla and Ramon from our friends at Window Nation. So I was taking a peek the other day, to be not named, but windows at a certain place and could see, the mold, could see the water, and was thinking, okay, this definitely is somebody who needs new windows. And our friends at Window Nation right now can help you out if you're dealing with those situations where you can't open them properly or they're not staying open. They're extending their semi-annual sale, 50% off all window styles, plus 0% interest for 5 years, and an additional bonus if you actually schedule an appointment this week.
No doubt about it. And all they do are windows, okay? Installed over 200,000 windows last year. That's 40 times more than the average window company, with 96% of them having no follow-up service. As Kayla just told you, weather impacts your windows. So if you have any issues with condensation, you touch them, they're hot, you touch them, they're cold, guess what? Get Window Nation over it. And you can call them at 866-90-NATION or go online on windownation.com.
Welcome back into RKW on this Tuesday morning. Hopefully, y'all are getting to your destination safely, and hopefully we'll entertain you while doing that. So, big night in Boston. It was Game 5 of the NBA Finals, Boston Celtics, Dallas Mavericks, and all the Celtics had to do was get that win at home, and they could celebrate that 18th championship. There was a lot of expectations for this team this year, and guess what? They get it done. They never trailed in this game at all, guys. It was a completely dominant performance, 106-88 over Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks. And the confetti fell. They now have 18 championships in terms of world championships for the Boston Celtics. That is now one more than the Los Angeles Lakers, which I think will be fun to see if this fuels the Lakers' fire moving forward since they've had their struggles. Because you just feel like naturally these are the two franchises in NBA history that will always be competing. But incredible performances by Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown named the MVP. And I just thought, like, listening to the players speak after when they're on the podium and they're having, the confetti fall on them and the kids are in their hands. Yeah. And I thought it was a really genuine moment for so many of those players. This team is talked about as being a close team, great guys on and off the court. And I could really feel it in that post-game, interview process that these guys really deserved it.
They did. They absolutely did, man. And by the way, shout out to Al Horford, man.
And Al Horford, my goodness.
Absolutely. By the way, the first Dominican-born NBA champion, throwing that out there. Also a Florida Gator. He tormented us while at Florida. But again, man, what a story, what a career he's had so far, man. And of course, the young fellas, man, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, like them finally getting that monkey off of their back. And not just that, they had a lot of new moving wheels and parts around that. The fact that they moved their coach at the time, Brad Stevens, from coaching to making him their general manager, man.
Who had to make some moves.
He did have to make some moves. And having a young coach like Joe Mazzulla, like, will this team to win it. And not just that, they make the right moves with Drew Holiday. They make the right moves with Kristaps Porzingis, playing him in Game 1, although he didn't play a crazy role in this championship series. Yeah, he played injured last night just to be a part of it and on the floor. They absolutely blitzed the Dallas Mavericks last night. It was a fun game to watch. It was, if you were a Boston fan, okay, I just wanted to see the Mavs lose. Either way, again, Kyrie got heckled big time. Kyrie sucks chants were all inside the TD Garden last night. It was insanely good. If you were looking for a good basketball game, it was on last night. But tip of the hat to Boston, because here's the other thing, too. They are a team that I feel like, for the most part, built up their championship. They had the two core guys. They had Al Horford come in, again, to sign on Drew Holiday, to let Marcus Smart go. They made moves that I think a lot of people said, why are you doing this?
Right.
And by far one of the better games I think I've seen in a while as it pertains to like a championship game, even in a blowout. Even in a blowout was good. And just watching the celebration, by the way, I don't think I've ever seen so much confetti drop from the
It was
group.
like stuck in their mouths. It was hilarious. I was like, I feel bad for them. They can't get these things out of their mouth. It's just like stuck in there.
It was the most amount of confetti I've ever seen. And immediately I got somewhat upset too, because I was just like, friggin' Boston. They all were like, since the Patriots, I mean, Boston has the New England area has to be
city.
One of the biggest championship cities in America. Think about what all the Patriots have done. Yep. I mean, last time the Celtics won it was in 2008. And then as soon as Brady leaves, everybody's ready to crap on New England area, and Boston Celtics pull one out, man.
Yeah.
That area doesn't know a championship drought at all.
Except for the Boston Red Sox when they had theirs.
Because
that was definitely a minute. But I will say this, Ramon, about this Celtics team, because I don't love, the fact that New England had all that success. Like, it makes me mad sometimes. But at the same time, you look at the teams and how they do it. And with this Boston Celtics team, it's weird because I'm not a Boston Celtics fan. I don't root for them by any means. But I respect the hell out of how they did it. Mm-hmm. And you had mentioned, like, they were supposed to win it the past, like, couple of years.
Yeah, they've been in it.
If not
they've
more.
Been in it. They've been one of the better
right?
teams, yes.
So they've tried. They've tried to put certain teams together, tried to make it work. They've failed.
Yeah.
And the thing that I respect the most about this team is, yes, they made some moves, and credit to Brad Stevens for that and upper management, but this group was like, we are not going to fail.
No.
And Derek White, after the game, with his chipped tooth and all.
Another move. I know.
I was just like, wow.
Hustling for a ball. For the people that said the NBA players don't hustle. He was on the ground hustling for the ball.
He was hustling.
His head got mushed into the court.
Yeah.
He lost he chipped his tooth.
And you could see he's had like a red mark on his eye. Like he was going to put his body on the line for that game.
There.
And he said, Ramon, that this stuck with me along the lines of, this was such a process from start to finish.
Yeah.
And we didn't miss a step. Even if adversity wanted us to miss and cheat and whatever, to get to that finish line, we didn't. And that's why we're here.
It is.
It's because we completed each step. I thought that was awesome.
Again, Boston did it a very old school way, and I was glad to watch that series. All in all, very, very good series this past weekend. By the way, a half-court shot specialist. By the way, Peyton Pritchard.
Yeah.
The commentator said this before he took the shot. This is what he does, and he hit a shot right at the end of the first half, man. But a lot of he's also a former first rounder of theirs. They've got a lot of homegrown bodies on that team, and Boston, for the folks that are anti-trade and free agency type people, they did it in old school way. Man, shout out to Brad Stevens and their coach and everything. As
35 years old, by the way.
Tough. Youngest head coach to win it, if I'm not mistaken.
It's pretty incredible. So 6 NBA teams, different NBA teams, to win a championship in 6 years. Woo, it's a little different. It's a little different now, folks.
It is.
All right, coming up, we are already in hour 2, just breezing by on this Tuesday morning. We have got big Titans off-season moves. Which one will pay off in the end? We'll have that discussion in about 20 minutes. But first, I know Bert and Ramon are excited about this. Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
They're announcing another new addition to their category or their series, whatever you want to call it now. And it has to do with these two over here that I'm sitting next to. We'll get into it coming up next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will here on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, it's Will Bowling. Are you looking to check some items off your home to-do list? Well, I'm here to tell you, Lee Company can make a huge difference. Maybe you're looking to freshen up your home's look before hosting friends and family for a cookout. You're outside of the deck. You're in areas where you maybe haven't been as much while the weather's not been as nice. Well, available 24/7, 365. The Lee Company home improvement professionals have you covered. From pressure washing your driveway or deck, drywall repairs, maybe it's landscape lighting, painting, anything and more. Lee Company is truly all you need. That's what I love about Lee Company. They help you with your HVAC, your plumbing, electrical systems, but their home improvement team is the best in the business. Remember this phone number, 615-567-1000. You got to contact Lee Company there today or visit them online at leecompany.com to schedule your appointment. That's leecompany.com for all your home improvement needs this summer. Lee Company, all you need.
What's going on? 7 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Behind 31 points, 8 rebounds, 11 assists from Jason Tatum, 21 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists from your finals MVP, Jaylen Brown. The Boston Celtics blew out the Dallas Mavericks 106-88 to win the 2024 NBA Finals, winning a record-setting 18th NBA title on the 16th anniversary of the day they won their 17th championship in the same building. In doing so, the Celtics passed their forever rivals, the Lakers, for the most titles in NBA history. The AFC North getting ready for its close-up as the division best known for heated rivalries will be featured on the in-season edition of HBO's Hard Knocks this season. It is the first time the Emmy award-winning series has chronicled an entire division. Last season, the AFC North's 4 teams finished with winning records. That is the first time that has happened in the Super Bowl era. And June 26th, if you don't have plans, now you do. Come hang out with us at Game Terminal for RKW. Plenty of food, drinks, games, anything you could think of. All the games are going to be there. Come beat me in something. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Welcome into hour 2 of Ramon, Kayla, and Will here on this beautiful Tuesday morning. The sun is shining. Another hot day here in Middle Tennessee alongside our 11-year NFL veteran, our Vol for life, Ramon Foster.
Yay.
We've got Robert Walsh behind the glass making it all happen. I'm Kayla Anderson. Will Bowling still in the Bahamas covering some track and field, and we'll all be back in the saddle on Thursday as we will have tomorrow off for June 19th. And we'll have the best of here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
Love that.
And then in just a minute, we'll have a chance for you guys to win VIP tickets to our Ramon, Kayla, and Will event. It is called RKW. If you haven't gotten it yet, yes, we are all coming together, hopefully with a lot of you, our listeners, our great listeners, and doing a fun event where we will be playing and competing against each other and having a few drinks and some food.
Just a little bit, every once in a while, some competition.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Bert was just saying we need to have company-wide stuff like the wedding like this all the time. Who's next up? That's the next thing, Bert. Never mind.
Yeah,
it can't be me.
I asked him if he caught the bouquet, and he said no, but I had that James Harden look on my face when it was given out. Them big eyes all open and everything.
I was messing with somebody about the bouquet and the garter. I think that has to be thrown. It was funny. Well, the guys had to be forced out there to catch the garter. Everybody was like,
nobody wanted to go.
Get out there. No, dudes don't ever want to catch that. Like that's like,
is that awkward?
That's
or
like
something?
signaling that, like, yes, I'm next to want to get married in these situations. So yeah. So dudes for the most part who are either.
So it wasn't Buck.
No. Buck I think was in the back of the group too. By the way, as the garter was being thrown. But the ladies though, they were just lining up for the bouquet. I was just like, okay, tell it 2 lives right here. Tell it 2 lives.
The ladies always do that. They always want the bouquet.
Yeah, I did not see Bert back there though. So.
Okay.
When you were just talking about it, I don't remember this happening. I don't know where I was when this was going on.
So he could very well have been in the front row and just missed it.
No, I don't think I don't know where I was.
He does not know where. Maybe in a bathroom stall, maybe next to the
outside
DJ booth.
Smoking a cigarette. Who knows?
Smoking a dart.
That ain't the wrong answer to not know where you were, okay? Because
it's a
again,
wedding.
You had no representation there anyways. You could have caught it and nobody would have ever told Cheyenne you caught it.
Well,
Bert.
that means
True.
I'm with the good people. I'm with the right people. If no one's going to to rat me out.
No, ain't nobody gonna rat
But
you
I
out
kind
of
of
there.
want an excuse now to go. Now that I missed out on this extravagant wedding and I'm having FOMO, like I definitely now want somebody else to get married in our Zone family. So now I'm rooting for it. So if you thought I was going hard before for you and Cheyenne to get married, now I'm really going hard. Now I'm really a Lamar Jackson fan.
You a
this
Lamar Jackson
this
fan
season.
now?
Screw my Seahawks, man. I'm a Ravens fan.
And you'll get a chance to watch them more in depth this year with HBO's Hard Knocks because they're
There
covering
you
the
go.
AFC North.
There you go. So you thought you had enough because we've got the off-season Hard Knocks that features the New York Giants starting up on July 2nd. Then we have the training camp Hard Knocks featuring the Chicago Bears. And now, folks, oh yeah, you're going to get a dose of in-season Hard Knocks featuring not one team, but a whole damn division. It's the AFC North, and they are going to be featured throughout the whole offseason. And the first people I thought about were you, Ramon Foster, and you, Robert Walsh.
Yeah.
So I'll leave the floor to y'all.
My initial reaction was just simply wow. It was just simply wow because, again, I don't know if there's anybody since the Ravens did it way back when Shannon Sharp them was all on and they had Big Goose on there and Shannon Sharp was doing his impressions of people like that one right there. I hadn't seen anybody get documented in the AFC North. It seems to be very known that they're the biggest rivals in
It's a tough
in most
division.
of the NFL. It is, but nobody really speaks to let you behind the scenes in anything
Very
that we've
true.
ever done. So I've somewhat heard that the Steelers never want to have Hard Knocks and cameras around because of how they can edit stuff in and out. So I was somewhat shocked, and they even promoted it too yesterday and on their social medias. But you get an opportunity, man, and maybe the world will get to see this. Mm-hmm. And it'll probably be scaled down. But watching Coach Tomlin conduct meetings, watching him at practice, watching his conversations, I've always been intrigued by it, even as I played with him, played for him. So I can't wait to see what Baltimore looks like. Or a matter of fact, there will be a team that craps the bed at some point. I want to see how that
Cleveland. Dog pound stand up.
I want to see how they operate internally. That's kind of what I want to see from them because you don't know. I've heard all this stuff and seen so much from Cleveland and about Cleveland, but never knew how they worked internally, especially with their ownership and stuff like that as of late.
The other big part of it for me is having 4 teams on means that they will have to do less things in depth on certain teams.
Yes.
So like
That's true.
it will be a broad look at the Steelers. It will be a broad look at the Ravens. So they won't have to come in. And Buck and I talked about this last night. Hard Knocks is not for the NFL journalists looking for the nugget that's going to set their piece or their symposium apart, right?
No.
It's for the fans. It's for the intimate stories that are told in season, before the season, the trials and tribulations. Like, for example, last year with Miami, I became a big fan of Jalen Phillips, who, if you guys aren't familiar with his story, was medically ineligible to play football, came out, played at Miami, had a crazy year. 1 year was a first-round pick, and then was climbing the ranks with Miami. All of a sudden, he has a big game. They're talking about him being a double-digit sack guy, getting a contract extension. What happens the next game? He gets injured. Now, I'm not rooting for people to be injured in these stories, but what it does do is gives you an intrinsic reason to watch these things outside of just like, I'm a fan of this team. No longer are you broadly a fan of a team. Now you're a fan of a player, which makes it so, I mean, you're a little more involved and care about what's going on other than, oh, did the Dolphins win? Oh, did Jalen Phillips get a sack? It makes real fans. That's why the NFL is a big fan of this because you're no longer like, oh, did the Commanders win? Okay, I'm done checking my phone now. Now you have a reason to watch these games.
I wonder with all these Hard Knocks that they have too, because Kaylee looked it up earlier. Chicago is the profile team in the preseason.
They're the preseason, but for the first time, they're doing an off-season with the Giants.
Off-season with the
And that
Giants.
starts in just a week or so.
Have y'all gotten to the point of does most of America feel like the NFL is oversaturated or is
That's
never enough?
great
Bert, for you, is it
question.
never enough?
It's never
But,
enough.
but you guys are diehard NFL fans, right? I cover the league, and I obviously enjoy the NFL. The more and more I've been here, though, that's what I majority cover. Before I got here, I'll admit, I mean, I obviously covered the NFL from afar in Ohio, but I was in Columbus, so I was smack dab in the middle of
Ohio
Cleveland
State.
and Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So I didn't cover them firsthand. I wasn't in that locker room. to your point about building relationships and getting to know these players, I think that's why I've become more of a fan covering the NFL, because I got to know the stories. I got to know the adversity that these guys have gone through, the seasons you go through with the adversity. So now it's the top sport that I watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is. The only reason I posed that question because we as players had this discussion one day in between practice and stuff, just talking amongst each other, random conversations. And I think it's because we were about to be considered, or the conversation of the Steelers being a hard knock squad or whatever. It's just like it's too saturated. But I push back. I'm like, I don't think it's too saturated, because the one thing about the NFL is this: it's America's thing. Mm-hmm. It's our game, and it's growing at a high rate right now. We got games in, Mexico City now. You have them in South America. You got them in London, Germany. They're everywhere now, right? And I just think that's where it's going. To me, I think the quality is still up. We'll see what they do about salaries. Again, as much money's been made
and
with
schedules.
the profile and schedules, seeing what they do with the quarterback market moving forward. And now you got wide receivers getting over $40 million a year too. But again, the game has grown so much to that point that is somewhat the norm. It's just new to all of us consuming it. And how they pay for it? Well, you sell licensing rights to Hard Knocks and HBO.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it. Again, I want to see what Joe Burrow conversation's like. And to Bert's point, I think it's gotten to a point to where they can't just do fluff stories. We're covering 4 teams. They got to somewhat get close to the sun, I hope, with these squads.
Yeah, there's some interesting coaches definitely in that division. My whole thing is the more you peel back the curtain, the more that fans can have a feel that they're inside that locker room, or they're inside, that stadium, that you're going to probably earn more fans that way, because they're getting a look at that. And I think that's why the NFL continues to grow and continues to be able to do these things, because they're peeling back the curtain a little. Not all sports do that. So it's very interesting. I'm looking forward to it, though. Speaking of peeling back the curtain, hopefully we continue to do that for you when it comes to this upcoming Titans season, giving you insight on, how these players are developing in Titans camp. And the biggest thing we're going to talk about next, coming up after the break, what was the Titans, or will be the Titans' biggest move in the offseason that will pay dividends in the end? We'll have that discussion. That's coming up on RKW here on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, what's going on? It's Will Bowling. If you're running a fast-growing business in Nashville, listen up. NetSuite's Business Grows Here event is coming to Nashville on Tuesday, June 25th. Don't miss it. Why Nashville? Well, because NetSuite knows Nashville is a hub for entrepreneurs with forward-thinking founders, a top talent pool, and pro-business leadership. You got to apply to attend the business event of the year. Business Grows Here, taking place at the Conrad Hotel on Tuesday, June 25th. You'll learn how Tennessee is paving the way for new business growth and capital, see how technology fueled by AI is shaping the way we grow and run our businesses. Plus, you'll be inspired by leaders who have built and led billion-dollar businesses, like Jamie Simonoff, founder of Ring Video Doorbell, and Burke Nihill, CEO of the Tennessee Titans. NetSuite by Oracle, Business Grows Here. It's free to attend if you qualify, so just apply right now to find out, because seats are going quickly. Block out your calendar. Tuesday, June 25th. Apply right now at netsuite.com/Nashville. netsuite.com/Nashville.
Welcome back into a Tuesday edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Kayla Anderson, Ramon Foster, holding it down in the studio today and talking a little Titans here in hour 2. Why not, right?
Exactly.
It's technically the real off season as they have several weeks off before training camp starts at the end of July. But man, it has been a wild ride for the Tennessee Titans since the end of last season to the start of where we are now with a dead period. And everything from the firing of Mike Vrabel to the coaching search to the hiring of Brian Callahan to all of the moves that they made in the offseason, then the NFL draft and the additions that were made there to OTAs and mandatory minicamp. My goodness, I felt like we've had a season inside a season.
We have.
Here in Nashville.
We have.
But when we start training camp at the end of July, it's going to be full force moving forward. And there's not going to be the, okay, like he's healing or he's working on the weight loss thing. Like it's guys that are going to step in and have to go on full go. And they're going to have to win starting spots. A lot of these guys are. And there's new personnel and there's yet to be proven guys. So one thing we do know is they did make some really key offseason moves, the Titans did. But my question is to you, when we talk about this now several months down the road, when they're in the midseason, we're seeing kind of some of the fruits of the labor, or we hope we are seeing that, of these moves. Who will be the Titans addition who pays the biggest dividends?
Who will be the biggest one? This time of the season right now, like you said, the true dead time, Kayla. I like to call this the season of hope, the hopeful.
Is this
the
what it is?
hopeful era.
Okay.
Yeah, because everything that you've done so far with everything you mentioned, the firing of coaches, right, new staff, and the free agents have come in, and we've seen them in minicamp, we've seen them in OTAs, we've talked to them, we've all interviewed at least 1 or 2 or 5 of these players and coaches and GMs and presidents and CEOs. Okay, we've done a lot. So now is the hope era. Kayla's, well, I hope everything went well. Or
Sure.
I hope nobody gets in trouble. Or I hope everybody comes ready to go for training camp. And with those moves that they've made this offseason. Heck, you want to recap real quick how many signings they've had, of course?
Yes.
It's been, I had it a second ago. I'll get it in a minute. But this offseason, they've signed Cheeto. They've signed Lloyd Cushenberry. They've signed Kenneth Murray. They've signed Tony Pollard. And I'll just stop right there because that's where I'm going. It's Tony Pollard, to me, I think is going to end up being, Kayla, over the course of this offseason, the biggest signing for this team this upcoming season as a free agent. And for this reason right here, I think he's going to be quarterback friendly.
Okay.
With his ability to be able to run the ball with the amount of touches that he gets. And I think he's going to have the ability to show this fan base that you don't have to just be 3 yards in a cloud of dust as an offense. And I'm mentioning him because I think a guy that's going to benefit from it also is going to be Tajay Spears. I think Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard tandem, if all goes well, is going to be one of those talking points throughout the course of the season. What has this tandem been capable of doing over the course of this year? Because, again, we're putting a lot on Will Levis, in my opinion, with what's going to be asked of him. Can he get the ball to his wide receivers, right? Calvin Ridley. Can he get the ball to D-Hop? Is he going to have enough poise to stay in the pocket? And the one settling fact I think that this offense is going to have is the addition of Tony Pollard with assistance from Tajay Spears, too. I think if you look at his style of running, what he's been able to do as a backup in Dallas for the most part, the reason that Ezekiel Elliott ended up out of that town in Dallas was because of him. The bounce back from his injury and to have a Pro Bowl under him, but just also having the receiving factor of being a running back.
Sure.
I don't think as of late, since Derrick Henry, and it's not pushing Derrick Henry out the door, but it has been his show. I think that was part of his comments in Baltimore anyway was, look, now I have the opportunity to work with a guy that has just as much attraction as I do, and that's Lamar Jackson, right? That's what Derek was alluding to. Not that he was crapping on the Titans have been the only focus point of this team offensively, but there's another person that can be attractive to other teams defensively. That was Derek's role. I think with Tajay and Tony Pollard moving forward, teams are going to have to decide which back are they going to defend, how they're going to defend them, and what personnel they're going to put out there. And yes, it's a huge year for Will Levis, but these two running backs, starting with Tony Pollard, is probably going to show why, to me, he's the biggest offseason signing so far.
I like it. Tony Pollard, and dealing with a little bit of bumps and bruises last year, still ran for over 1,000 yards, just a shy over 1,000 yards. Played in all 17 games at that while dealing with some of those issues. The year before, just a shy over 1,000 yards. So clearly you have seen, even when he's had maybe some injuries, he's still produced.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so encouraging about Tony Pollard at this point of his career is he's kind of getting a fresh reset. And with a offense that I really think is going to utilize him well. And you're right, maybe he isn't the feature back that you expect that maybe he had during that 1 year in Dallas where he outshined Ezekiel Elliott. But I think he can benefit more in a situation like this with, like you mentioned, Tajay Spears, who is similar. Mm-hmm. Like, I think Tony Pollard probably maybe a better pass catcher by just a margin, but Tajay, not to take anything away from him, had showed he has some opportunities to do that as well. And I just think the array of weapons that are going to be used in this offense, you just don't know what weapon at what time is going to be used. And I think while you don't know what he's going to run for, maybe it won't be a ton, right? Maybe it won't be 1,500 yards.
Right.
But I think the production will be there when it's needed, and it's going to be something that will help Titans win games that need to be won. Excuse me. Because you could utilize him in those certain situations, and for the most part, he's going to execute just based on his resume as of recent. So I think that's an interesting one, and we'll have to see, how the ball gets spread around. And we saw how they kind of did it in Cincinnati with Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
And that was with him primarily being the guy that got the most carries. You've got Spears here now.
You do.
So you probably have to chop it up a little bit because we don't know exactly how that's going to, even out.
But my thing is this, with the NFL being so pass heavy too, at the end of the day, when the weather gets colder, you need those 1 or 2 yards of that hard first down to get. The running backs still have a very important role in the NFL. And a lot of teams are secretly having that happen, but not many are talking about it. As far as the run game is concerned, I love the idea that this squad went after running back first and having somebody that has the ability to immediately replace Derrick Henry. Looking forward, again, we're looking at a totally different offense with a coach that is very forward thinking in the way they run this offense, throwing the ball up and down the field and going side to side too. I just think those emergency outlets that Will Levis has now, and having two running backs that can catch the ball out of the backfield, and Derrick could catch it. He had good games here and there.
But it wasn't natural.
But it wasn't his thing, right? Or at least the offense that he was playing in didn't allow for that to be shown.
And it was predictable, too.
Yeah, and it was predictable. Or it was just a late dump-off. Now you have the ability to have a running back in the backfield, motion them out, and have them run a route.
Sure.
That is a different weapon right there. Having played with a guy that was capable of doing those types of things, and Le'Veon Bell, it is an X factor. It does somewhat set the defense up to where either they have to commit to stopping the run, but if they don't have the personnel to put a linebacker in space against a running back, that you eat all day as an offense. I think that's why Coach Holtz and why Coach Brian Callahan was super excited about the addition of these running backs. We've heard them gush over these guys, but again, there's so many different additions. Is Coach Brian Callahan? Is Bill Callahan one of those guys? Kayla, who's your guys, the biggest offseason addition for the squad?
Yeah, and I was going to note on now that you had mentioned the running backs real quick. And coming up at 9:20, Samaria Terry of News 2 will join us, and she actually talked to Eddie George, the Titan great, about specifically this two-back combo and why he's so excited about it. So that's just something to look forward to in the final of RKW. But as for my guy in terms of an addition that could pay the biggest dividends when it's all said and done, I'm going with, and it might be an obvious to some, but in some ways it's also the whole, maybe there's some injuries because we didn't see him in mandatory mini camp exactly as much as we wanted to. But cornerback L'Jarius Sneed is definitely the guy I think that will play the biggest dividends. And before I get to my full explanation, Chris Long joined the show, your friend.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you missed it last Friday because he was incredible.
Chris is awesome,
He's
man.
really like lays it out there and said he's actually rooting for the Titans even though he's not a fan of them because he has so many connections to this defensive staff. Here's what he had to say about L'Jarius Sneed.
So when you start with L'Jarius Sneed, who's got, kind of that vintage press corner build, I think I had Justin Reed on my pod yesterday from the Chiefs, and we were talking about Sneed, and he was saying, I think Sneed played safety coming up, and he's got that safety mentality, right? And I just think, like, when you look at the way he played in that Miami game, everybody remembers the Tyreek Hill jam and all that other stuff, but, like, he's a tone setter. So, like, right away you have, in my opinion, the most important position in the field, and that's coming from a pass rusher, a lockdown corner. You've got other defensive backs who can play, right? Like, they're not just one deep. And then you've got the front, which to me, I've always been a big fan of the Titans front, and it starts with Jeffrey Simmons. So I think, like, having played in Jeff Fisher's scheme, it's all about aggression and attack. Like, I know they're going to do things a little differently, but with the same mindset of, like, we're going to be physical as hell. We might not be in a one-gap defense all the time, but we're going to be really physical.
Yeah, and that's why when I thought back at that interview and that answer with Chris Long, and then I was thinking about L'Jarius Sneed, to me, like, this is the perfect fit for Denard Wilson in terms of his piece, his tone-setting piece. And yes, Jeffrey Simmons up front. There is no denying he fits perfectly into what Denard Wilson wants to do with this defense. A little bit of a transformation of this defense that has been different from those in the past of the Titans. And to take nothing away from those defenses, because we saw some great defenses under Mike Vrabel. Right. But I think that this is just going to be different. And when you're trying to head in that direction, you need that tone setter. And I feel like Denard Wilson went out and handpicked his tone setter, and that is L'Jarius Sneed. And yes, Sneed has to be available, which even with all the things that we've said about the injuries or the knee, he was available for Kansas City last year. He helped him win another ring.
A crucial play.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm not going to get into that until it proves to be an issue here. For right now, he is a part of this team that's probably going to help this team advance their play, especially on the defensive side. And you know how much they've tried to improve this secondary this year, Ramon. And I just think when you add a guy like Sneed, and I know PFF came out with their most physical cornerbacks this past week, and he ranks 4th on that list. And I know not everything is, by the books of PFF. We don't go by everything they say. But I do feel like sometimes when you're trying to get into numbers, they do have some good numbers where you can kind of understand where they're coming from. And as they had said in this article, he has allowed a low of 30.3% completion percentage, forced an incompletion of 21.1% of the time, surrendered a 46 passer rating, and gave up a first down or touchdown on just 18.2% of his targets when making contact with the receiver. What does that equal? Physical, right?
Yeah.
It's perfect for the aggressive attacking style of defense that Denard Wilson is looking for. And when you add a piece like that and you say, hey, team, this is how we want you to play, this is how we're going to find success, I think in the end, they've got to find that success.
Yeah, they do.
But this is the piece they're hoping can help guide them. And so when it's all said and done, if that works, he will pay off in terms of the biggest ad in the offseason.
Oh, no doubt about it. Again, rushing coverage works together, too. And Chris Long makes a great point. I felt this way as a player, too. I've always somewhat admired the Titans' front, their defensive front. They've always had one or two dogs, and linebackers always have. And if it matches the history of this team with Denard Wilson and how they're going to play ball and unleashing Big Jeff, and not just him, Arden Key and Harold Landry and the whole gang, right? And Rashad Weaver's another one that's got to have a big season.
Yep.
I'm talking about a big season for a guy like him. And having the secondary now for the most part, except we got to figure out what's going to happen at the safety spot or if they just decide to stay in-house.
Yep.
Rush and coverage works together. I can see L'Jarius Sneed being one of those types of guys. I love the idea that you at least have the outside. Let me say this. You're now catching up to the rest of the league to have competitive teams. You got key players at very hot spots, meaning you got two corners that you can trust. You got the rush up front defensively. Figuring out the other inside linebackers, which it seems to be at this point, it may end up being Jack Gibbons. You just never know. Him and
they're high on him.
Kenneth Murray. And, of course, you still have Cedric Gray that's still learning. We will see, but this defense may come together better than we think it should. But, again, it will comes down to depth on the defensive line, and can the linebackers that you have in your room stay on the field and complete their task too? If you're asking Jack Gibbons to drop in coverage, can he do that? Can Cedric Gray expedite his process of learning and become a starter or at least a role player because he can cover and do well in space? It's a matter of consistency of it for a young rookie in Cedric Gray, but also having the ability to learn. And again, I don't think the green dot is a massive task when it boils down to it, but having somebody that is that quarterback for the defense has to be established. And I'm not sure if it's going to be a Monty Hooker on the back end or will it just be Jack Gibbons throughout the course of the season. Again, championship teams aren't built with just prime players. There are players on teams that don't have the profile of an all-pro or pro bowl player that still make plays for you. And I think that's where this squad is trying to identify those dudes in this Denard Wilson defense.
Yeah, and technically, you had mentioned Cedric Gray, and on Friday, Ramon, Will and I did players that need to have a big training camp, and he was my player and my pick because it has been noted that he's, in the beginning, just learning a new defense, the speed, it's been a little bit of a struggle. Like, he's finding
and
himself
that's normal.
now.
That's
it is normal.
Yeah.
It's nothing out of the ordinary. But I just feel like with that position being so competitive right now with Jack Gibbons and Gibbons being more of a veteran, I think that's a really important thing for him to have a big camp and to have all those things in the past in terms of learning and be up to speed at that point. We had King of Clubs say J.C. Latham, and look, it can be a rookie that they added that could be the biggest addition. Absolutely. In terms of J.C. Latham, everything points to him being on the right track. But Ramon, firsthand, being an offensive lineman, nothing compares to once you put those pads on and then even more so those first 3 games.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
It's going to be baptizing through fire. There's no other way through it. But again, they're not a finished product, and that's why, again, I say at the end of the day, for me, I'm picking Tony Pollard to be that guy that I think pays off for this team because they will have to rely on the running game because I will say most players will have struggles at left tackle in a rookie year. So the best way to alleviate that is to run the football and smash faces.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to watching it.
Yeah, me too.
So we all remember Les Miles. I know it feels like it's been a minute since we were talking about him eating grass at LSU. Now it looks like he's got another mission. He is filing a lawsuit against his former school, and it's all about his future shot at getting into College Football Hall of Fame. We'll get into the details next on RKW 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, what's going on? It's Will Bowling. If you're running a fast-growing business in Nashville, listen up. NetSuite's Business Grows Here event is coming to Nashville on Tuesday, June 25th. Don't miss it. Why Nashville? Well, because NetSuite knows Nashville is a hub for entrepreneurs with forward-thinking founders, a top talent pool, and pro-business leadership. You got to apply to attend the business event of the year. Business Grows Here, taking place at the Conrad Hotel on Tuesday, June 25th. You'll learn how Tennessee is paving the way for new business growth and capital, see how technology fueled by AI is shaping the way we grow and run our businesses. Plus, you'll be inspired by leaders who have built and led billion-dollar businesses, like Jamie Simonoff, founder of Ring Video Doorbell, and Burke Nihill, CEO of the Tennessee Titans. NetSuite by Oracle, Business Grows Here. It's free to attend if you qualify, so just apply right now to find out because seats are going quickly. Block out your calendar. Tuesday, June 25th. Apply right now at netsuite.com/Nashville. netsuite.com/Nashville.
Back here on RKW, Kayla Anderson, Ramon Foster. Talk a little Titans this morning, a little U.S. Open.
Yeah.
How about some college football?
Let's talk a little bit. We're in the SEC country, Kayla.
Right?
Football is king. We might as well bring him up also, right?
Yeah, and I guess this guy, you probably knew him. Whether you're an LSU fan or you're not an LSU fan at all, this guy definitely was polarizing when he was in the LSU. Yes, that's where he was, in the SEC. And look, a lot of winning here. That's nothing that we can take away from him. Or can we?
Yeah.
Or can we is the question, because according to On3's Pete Nakos, former LSU football coach Les Miles is suing the school over losses they vacated during his tenure, which have impacted his ability to make the College Football Hall of Fame. So let me put this into perspective. As you can remember, LSU vacated those 37 wins when Miles was the coach, when they uncovered, the NCAA that is, an embellishment scheme and was looking to punish the Tigers. So they just went ahead and said, hey, we're just going to vacate these 37 losses.
Do whatever you got to do.
Do whatever you got to do. Just let's just move forward.
Mm-hmm.
So supposedly now Les Miles is saying, back up, wait a minute. I didn't really have a say in this. That was not my choice. That was the university's choice to do that. And now when you're looking down the line and he is trying to get into the College Football Hall of Fame, the Hall requires 0.600% winning percentage. And the vacated wins announced last summer officially dipped him to a 0.03. So he's missing it now because he has a 5.97 percentage. So it's just by 0.03 that he's missing that.
Yeah, right under the 600%.
Right? It's right there. And so now he's saying, wait a second, we're going to fight this in court. And my question is like, are you on board with Les Miles with this, where he should fight this and it makes sense to fight it? Or is it like, hey, dude, this happened and you were there when they vacated it. It is what it is.
It is. I do think he should have had the right to fight it. I will give him that 100%.
Okay.
The school tried to save themselves by saying, okay,
Yeah.
all right, take these 37 wins, and it directly affected him. Again, I don't know if LSU had anything against Les Miles because this seems very strategic. A guy that had a winning percentage over 600 to begin with is now at 597, as you just said a second ago, Kayla. But here's the other thing, too. If y'all going to cheat right. That's the issue
Right?
that you have right now. This is all stemming from them self-imposing, LSU self-imposing, because they got caught paying a former offensive lineman, Vidal Alexander. They paid his parents from 2012 through 2015, and he was technically ineligible and shouldn't have been playing. They gave his father at the time over $180,000 from one of their boosters, who was the former head of Our Lady of the Lake Foundation in Baton Rouge. With that being, and also they offered his mother a job at the hospital that they ran down there too. So this probably was a high 5-star guy that they were trying to get and keep at LSU. $180,000 is a nice little piece of change there. The issue is they got caught, and they were very sloppy in how they got caught too.
They are sloppy at LSU, whether that be in basketball, what they're doing.
That's what I'm saying. And his dad only worked 5 events for this foundation,
Right?
And you received over $180,000. Again, Les Miles deserves that ability to fight it. Again, coaches are very egotistical too. They want to be able to say they belong and they are a part of the show. They did win those games with an ineligible player. That's where the issue lies. If I was him, I would be livid also. They should at least have called and consulted him because, again, they benefited from it. They're not losing any money behind all things that Les Miles did and brought prestige back to the university. Let's not forget this guy did win a national championship there also.
2007,
He did a lot of winning. He helped change their profile back into dominance and what they were, and a lot of guys benefited by going to the NFL too. He has 108 wins. He started with 143 wins before they vacated him. Unfair, yes. But again, if you're going to cheat, don't get caught when you're playing SEC ball like this, because it wasn't just them. There was a basketball side of things too. So LSU is just running rampant with a lot of stuff around there. I feel them though. I mean, if that's what I have left and I'm not coaching anywhere else,
Yeah.
then I want that college football Hall of Fame. And I'll say this, I think he deserves it because all college coaches have been cheating and are cheating, and if you're not cheating, you ain't trying, and it shows too in a lot of different ways. These are the types of things that was happening before NIL, and I don't think they can go back and say, well, now look at us, because the rules were different back in 2012 to 2015. There was no allowing anybody to be paid. I hope that prospect was worth it. I have to look this guy up and see what he did in the NFL.
Did he do
least.
anything right? And
exactly.
So Les Miles has not been in coaching as of the past 4 years. He was, after his stint at LSU, which lasted from 2005 to 2016, he went to Kansas in 2019. He was only there for a year, right?
I didn't think he didn't
find
well
success.
there. Exactly.
Yeah, did not find success. So he's definitely been on that path of, I mean, Les Miles is 70 years old, which is wild to think about.
He's 70?
70 years old. Yeah. And I'm not saying
so,
that
he
is
like
super
get in.
old.
No, he want to get
in.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
now,
as much as he kind of has always annoyed me for some reason, there's just certain figures that do. I am with him. At least you have to try to fight it, right?
Yeah.
And that's what he's going to do. And that lawsuit, specifically how they're doing it, is because the 1971 Supreme Court decision, in the very first sentence, it referenced like where a person's good name, reputation, honor, integrity is at stake because of what government is doing to him. Notice and opportunity to be heard are essential. So that's like what they're arguing, right? That did not happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that LSU kind of just took it upon themselves to, hey, we're just going to vacate it. We're not going to have him be able to fight anything. So I get it. And if you have the opportunity, you do have to take advantage of it. So I don't hate on it.
Vidal Alexander was a 7th-round pick in 2016 with the Oakland Raiders at the time. He played 2 seasons. He has 9 career starts in 24 games. He was also suspended by the league in September of 2018. So I got to figure out what happened there.
Didn't work out for him.
Did not work out.
Don't know if it was worth it, right?
I mean, for LSU, it may have been worth it.
Right? Well, what's working out for us is we're already revving into hour 3 of RKW. And coming up, the Vols had yesterday off. They'll have today off. And they'll play on Wednesday. But what does it mean for one player who laid his body on the line for this team? We'll give the details coming up next on RKW 104.5 The Zone.
It's Ramon Foster here for Artists and Custom Closets. Y'all, summer is here. Well, at least the summer events are, where you're in and out of the house each and every weekend. You got toys coming in. You got suitcases that you just drop in there and just water coolers. I'll tell you what, my mud room and garage look like I've been out of town and I need somebody to come over and organize it. So I'll definitely be hitting up Artists and Custom Closets, all right? But here's what they can do. They can transform your garage and outdoor space into a space of calm and organization with Artists and Custom Closets. You got to say goodbye to the clutter and hello to custom store solutions that are made to suit you, your style, and your budget. From your closet, garage, or office space, let the expert designers at Artists and Custom Closets help you get organized in any space in your home, from walk-in closets to pantry to garages or laundry rooms. Cool thing about Artisan is this: they're local. It's not a large chain business, but not only is it local, but their products are manufactured right here in the Southeast. And it's not a cookie cutter process also. It's customized to fit your home. Go ahead and start with a free in-house design consultation, all right, and take advantage of the multiple financing options and make getting organized easier than ever. You can reach out to them at 615-800-2199 or go to artisancustomclosets.com.
What's going on? 801. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. 21 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists from your finals MVP Jaylen Brown, and the Boston Celtics blew out the Dallas Mavericks 106-88 to win the 2024 NBA Finals, winning a record-setting 18th NBA title on their 16th anniversary of the day that they won their 17th championship in the same building. In doing so, the Celtics passed their forever rivals, the Los Angeles Lakers, for the most titles in NBA history. The AFC North getting ready for its close-up as the division best noted for heated rivalries will be featured on this season's edition of HBO's Hard Knocks. This is the first time the Emmy Award-winning series has chronicled an entire division, and it was the good division to pick because last year the AFC North's 4 teams finished with winning records. That is the first time a division has done that in the Super Bowl era. If you don't have plans, June 26th, next Wednesday, make sure you get some plans to be at Game Terminal for RKW. Plenty of food, drinks, and games for you to play. Be there. The whole 104.5 The Zone gang will be there as well. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Good Tuesday morning to you on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. We're off to a great start in hour 3 alongside our 11-year NFL veteran, our Vol for Life. It's Ramon Foster.
Yay.
There it is. We had to have Bert do that all day Friday. Let's just say it wasn't the same. That is Robert Walsh back there spinning the hits, making it all happen. I'm Kayla Anderson, and we're cruising on into this hour 3. Y'all, have you recovered yet? Is it hour 3? So I would expect you guys to be settled in here, to say the least.
Yeah, we're settled in. I'm there. I'm getting better now.
Yeah?
I've settled in.
You had some
in,
coffee,
Kayla.
some tea, whatever
Had
it
some
is.
coffee, some tea. I got my water here and everything. By the way, got me a nice, cool Yeti cup.
I was going to say, is this new here?
It is. For
Look at
Father's Day, I got
that.
some great Father's Day gifts,
What was your
by the
favorite
way.
gift?
I think it was this cup. Okay, I don't know how many ounces this is. Jeez.
Oh, and it fits in the actual cup holder in your car.
And I've been anti-Stanley too.
Oh, I'm
Okay.
anti-Stanley. I'm Yeti.
I'm Yeti to the
Me
core
too.
of me, okay? I refuse to be walking
Cheers.
around like a city girl with
Cheers.
those doggone Stanley cups, okay? You're not going to catch me in an oversized sweatshirt with some
Nah.
leggings and some tall socks on with a Stanley cup. That is the profile, by the way. I ain't talking about y'all, but that's just what y'all do.
Well, that's what my yoga studio is full of, Stanley cups. I said, I'm the outlier, y'all. I got my Yeti here.
Yeah, Kayla. I'm just like, this is what we're doing. Oversized sweaters, long socks, and shorts. No, we Team Yeti out here. So I got this as
I
an
love
orange.
it.
I think they catered to Tennessee folks with this orange color
They
one that I
really
got.
did. It hits it
It
on
hits.
the mark.
But the wife and kids also got me a Knoxville Hockey Club jersey.
Really?
Yeah, so I finally got
explain
one
this.
of those. It is a hockey jersey. Well, they call them
Yeah.
jerseys or shirts, but it's the Knoxville Club team, and it's
Yeah,
got
the club team, yeah.
it's got David Crockett on the front of it.
Oh,
Man,
I've
it's so
seen
dope.
that
yeah,
one. That one's really cool.
Yeah, so I ended up getting one of those. I've been wanting it for a while.
Oh, yeah, that one's neat.
And they've been out of stock. And I saw them come in stock the last time. I was like, I should get it. And I said, no, I'm going to pass. It's about to be the summertime. I'm not about to wear this jersey. Lo and behold, from the Vol shop, wife and kids got me that one,
listening.
man. I was hyped. Yeah, I don't even know how they figured that one out. I got some sandals also, which I wanted. And they got me an ice cube.
Crocs?
No, not Crocs.
Okay.
I got some thong sandals, okay?
You got a
I
thong?
like to have the
Jeez.
No.
Okay.
No.
Sorry, just want to make that clear that was not what you said.
Sandals came behind that.
People might be driving off the interstate
Flip-flops.
right now.
I'll just call them flip-flops from
There
here
we
on
go.
out.
There we go.
I like to have the toes out every once in a while, so I wear
sure,
those
it's
sandals.
summertime.
Yeah, it's the summertime, exactly.
For what it's worth, Cheyenne every year buys me the stereotypical pack of socks and underwear for like birthday,
geez.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay. It's always just
Oh,
my
you
stocking
like it.
stuffer. I mean, I'm hard on socks and underwear. I'm hard as hell on socks.
What
and
does
underwear.
that mean? You lose them? You put holes in them?
Works out in them.
I just it's hard being attached to my body for that long.
I get
so
that.
just holes
Sure.
and you know what I mean. It just she just likes to keep me refreshed. She likes to keep her man looking good. Yeah. And last year she went out and bought a pack of I don't know any other way to call it than like a thong, but she thought she bought me a pack of like regular Calvin Kleins, but it was like the tight huggy ones, the ones that
European
hug.
ones.
I'm telling y'all, they're kind of nice.
Wait.
I might be wearing a pair right now.
Does it cover your cheeks?
No, your cheeks are out and about. Your cheeks are out. But it feels so free. I'm just saying.
My goodness.
I'm just saying. Y'all.
All the pretty boys walk like this. This.
You have a little extra wiggle in those steps. You ain't never tried them on before, Mom? Oh, I got to send Keisha a link then. Hold on. I don't know if I need to Google
thing we know,
men's
Bert's
thong.
booking a European vacation.
I don't need to be Googling men's thong links at work, but I'm just saying, give them a shot. Give them a shot.
I don't even know how to gracefully transition after this.
You can't.
So I'm not going to.
What else were we talking about? Oh, those are...
I mean, maybe they don't wear thongs, but they wear jock straps in baseball. There we go.
That's true.
Is that a good transition?
Someone else who's splitting cheeks.
Had a little jiggle in your wiggle, Humbert.
I'm just saying, don't look too hard. You might like what you see.
If you're not caffeinated at 8 o'clock, you're caffeinated now. You're welcome.
I feel like this is the whole conversation right here. We're missing this one, man.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to be professional and move on, Caleb.
After hours on RKW.
Oh my gosh. I was not expecting that to be on my bingo card today, Bert.
He always enlightens us with something.
Boy, always coming through with the best things on these radio waves.
So the College World Series continues, and maybe you haven't been watching the Vols because they had yesterday off, and they have today off. By the way, Drew Beam, with what I think was his girlfriend, was at the game last night watching UK and Texas A&M. Looked like he was having fun, just kind of scouting the competition or what could be. But just a little bit of an update. So last night, Florida, I should say yesterday, because it was the first game, Florida defeats NC State. So NC State, they're out of there. So you got one ACC team that's out. Florida is still kicking. They're still trying to stay alive in this. And by the way, a Florida team that has really pushed its way since the end of the regular season. They were not great this year, but they're still trying to, win it all here.
They're in it,
as the underdogs
100%.
in a way.
They're in it.
Right? And then last night, the Kentucky-Texas A&M game, you were just waiting to see who scored first. It took a while. This was definitely a pitching duel early on in this one, but Texas A&M breaks through. They end up getting it done 6-1 over the Wildcats. So now Kentucky and Florida, an SEC battle, will play in an elimination game today.
Love that for them.
Yeah, so one of those teams, you take your pick there as a Vols fan. One of those teams is going to be eliminated today.
That may be one of the hardest decisions I have to make today, Caleb.
Right?
I'm going to be honest with you. Hit me in the next segment, okay? Because I don't know if I can answer that question.
This?
Yeah, no, 100%.
Because I don't think
you want to lose.
For some reason, I don't think y'all want to be playing them kitty cats. Meow. Like, I just feel like
you don't think the Vols are? I
just don't think you want to even see those guys. Just get them eliminated.
Yeah, I think.
I feel like you have a passion against Big Blue, right? Just get them out of here.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. But I also say this. Kentucky just took a bad loss, 5-1. They're going to have a bounce back game. This game between them and Florida, the elimination game, they play it tonight at 6 o'clock.
Right.
I don't know who to choose. I think Kentucky's a better team. I know Kentucky's a better team.
Overall, their body of work this year has been.
But Florida does have that factor of never die.
They do.
You know what I'm saying? They're like cockroaches.
Right.
Never die. Like, legitimately, that's what they are right now. I think I would want to see Kentucky the second time around.
That's fair. And you know what? You like the rivalry, so maybe you want to see that kind of just continue into the postseason with
and here's the other thing, too, is I don't know what Kentucky's pitching is going to look like. That's what happens when you go to the loser's bracket. The loser's bracket ain't bad. You still got the ability to come up out of it, but what it does force you to do is pitch.
Well, that's the thing, and there's no rest, really.
And I don't know what Kentucky's pitching is going to look like by the time they play tomorrow, if they do win this game. And the same goes for The same goes for Florida, too. And all these teams that's in the elimination factor is
Right.
you want to win and move on. It sucks
Yeah.
because, again, you have to burn pitching.
Exactly.
Have to.
And that's all on the other side of the bracket.
Yeah.
What the Vols are concerned about is obviously what happens on their side right now, at least. And
Yeah.
they've got the all ACC sides. And tonight it will be UNC and Florida State playing. So whoever wins that game tonight
Yeah.
is going to play the Vols tomorrow.
Vols.
So that will be interesting. And I think a lot of people want to see UNC probably over FSU because FSU really has the bats.
They got the bats.
Right? They've got the bats. We saw it in
Yeah.
that game on Friday.
Yup.
And did want to give you an update on Hunter Ensley, who made the incredible catch on
He
Sunday.
was cooked.
Dude,
He was cooked.
He hit that wall so hard he left eye black on it and a dent. And he continued to like play. So he has a lower body injury. I didn't know we were talking hockey today, but he has a lower body injury according to Tony Vitello, but no word yet on if he'll play Wednesday. I'll say this though. He's going to try to be out there.
100%. Ain't no way
Right?
to miss that. Absolutely not.
So
But what a hell of a play that he made.
man,
though.
that was so awesome.
And again, he just sprinted and made a play. You want to give your all? Yeah, he definitely gave us all on that one, man. Face into the doggone mat. It was there, everything that you could imagine on a play like that was necessary, Kayla. What a ending, man. Golly. Again, one of the coolest things from Savage Weekend, their wedding was being at the beach of all places watching the last part of that game. And it wasn't just us, man. It was like 4 different pockets of people watching this game, and I thought it was super cool. I'll say this. I never thought I'd see a world where baseball is the main topic of conversation amongst friends at a wedding like that. Super unique.
And that's cool though for you guys. I mean, it's something that you don't get to do often. The College World Series is such a hard thing to not only get to, but of course win.
Mm-hmm.
So just starting off the tournament 2-0 is huge. The first time in Vols history. So it's definitely something to celebrate. And right now, looking pretty dang good. Got to continue it though. They'll play tomorrow again. So that will be fun to talk about when we all get back together here on Thursday.
Yay.
Coming up after the break, we get into a little football recruiting. That happened over the weekend in Knoxville, and it was a huge weekend. So I'm excited to get some updates. Our friend from VolQuest, Austin Price, will join us. That's coming up next on RKW here on 104.5 The Zone.
Upgrade her diamond ring this summer with no money down and 0 interest for 5 years. Don't miss this killer offer from Genesis Diamonds. 5 years, 0 interest financing. Not just on engagement rings either. Also on earrings, bracelets, bands, colored gemstone jewelry, pre-owned Rolex watches. Buy now and pay nothing down and spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest. So that $5,000 gift comes out to just $85 a month. And that luxury pre-owned Rolex Submariner, Datejust, or Explorer starts at $150 a month. I was just there on this past Friday. All right, y'all can go by there and check them out. But this is an insane offer from the jeweler that always is finding ways to bring you more value. All GA certified diamonds are included in this. Rounds, princess cuts, ovals, pear shapes, cushion cuts, emerald cuts. Whether you get that $5,000 diamond or a $50,000 diamond, you can spread your payments over 5 whole years. Lab-grown diamonds are included in this as well. You get the Genesis value price on anything. You can spread your payments over 5 years. But hurry, this is a limited time offer that ends June 30th and will not be extended. Genesis Diamonds, they're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs. Details and more at genesisdiamonds.com.
Welcome back into RKW. When you hear that sound, that means it's our good friend Austin Price of VolQuest joining us every Tuesday at this time. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Hey.
We're good. Ramon is struggling. Ramon Foster, obviously you know or probably saw that he went to Ron Slay's wedding over the weekend. And it's like I had to pick Ramon up from off the floor. And yes, it took a lot of help to get that done today.
Yeah.
Somebody made an honest man out of Ron Slay.
Yes.
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did, Austin.
Wow.
Yes, she did. And if you know Ron Slay, then you know he had a Ron Slay wedding too, and everybody had an awesome time, Austin. Everybody.
And you're still recovering on Tuesday. That says a lot.
It does, but that's what you expect, right? Like if I'd have told you got invited to it in California, in Long Beach, we should have went and saw Nico's people while we were there. We didn't even think about that, Austin.
I didn't even think about that.
It was phenomenal, man. The beach, the wedding, the ceremony, everything was freaking cool.
That's fantastic. Congratulations to Ron.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And now, speaking of a quarterback, we were talking about Nico. I know a huge recruiting weekend for the Vols in Knoxville this past weekend. And so from one quarterback to another, Tennessee pledge George McIntyre spent the most time he's probably spent in a row in Knoxville this weekend. And I want you to explain this, Austin, just nowadays in terms of recruiting, they kind of have been using him as a lead recruiter as all these other guys were in there. What does he bring to the table when it comes to, maybe bringing in some of these names?
Well, I think what he does well is he just connects with kids. When you think about George, if you know George at all, he's someone that is very reserved, but with kids, he's not. He's someone who connects. He understands how, kids talk. He gets other kids to open up, and, his personality really shines in those situations, Kayla. And George has really been a fantastic recruiter for Josh Heupel and company, as he's kind of been that lead guy as the quarterback of the class. One would expect him to be, and he's done a really nice job. He's connected with several players, including David Sanders, the five-star offensive tackle, and we'll see if Tennessee can get some of these to the finish line and get them across the finish line over the next, 2 to 4 to 6 weeks. If they do, George McIntyre will be a big reason why.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything I've seen and heard from him is definitely spectacular. Now, speaking of the offense, Jefferson County offensive lineman Nick Moore, obviously a priority when it comes to a Tennessee prospect. He was back at Rocky Top this past weekend. So what happened with that visit? What are you hearing in terms of what he thought?
Well, it was really close last week to committing to West Virginia as a defensive lineman, but Tennessee was able to kind of slow that down, get him to campus for an official visit. Feel like things are trending in the right direction for Nick. He's going to take some time, make sure, he takes his time this time. Says he, felt like he rushed it the first time. And I think things are trending well for Tennessee there. I think that they've really had a strong weekend. He connected well with David Sanders and a few other guys that were in town that Tennessee is recruiting on the offensive line. So Nick is one that's he's a very smart kid, and he's going to be a little more methodical with it. So timeline, it could be 2 days from now. It could be a couple weeks from now. Either way, I don't think it's going to last forever, but he's going to take his time and come to the decision he feels best fit. But it definitely feels like Tennessee's got a lot of momentum there.
No doubt about it. Austin Price with us this morning discussing all things Vols. With recruiting from this past weekend, a lot of big official visits. First and foremost, how was Namegate with David Sanders this past weekend? Did that have any effect on how he was, how he looks at Tennessee? If y'all don't know, his name was misspelled as Davis. It was a quick typo. I don't think that major, but of course, when you're competing in the SEC, fan bases will pile on. So, Austin, how did that work out for David Sanders this weekend?
Yeah, fan bases are going to pile on. Coaches at those schools will pile on. And if, that had happened at another school, I'd expect Tennessee to try to exploit it. Now, you also run the risk of alienating yourself as the other school if you get too pushy about such a small deal. Like, at the end of the day, Josh Heupel didn't type up that name card. Glenn Ellerby didn't type up that name card. it's a third level staffer working in the recruiting office who hit the wrong key on the keyboard. Yeah, it's embarrassing. I mean, Tennessee didn't want that to happen, but at the same time, like, if you know the Sanders family, they're very intelligent people, very smart people, and they're not going to make a decision as big as this one based off such a minute, and that's their words, minute deal.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, would you have liked it to happen? No. Is it embarrassing? Absolutely. But I don't think David Sanders is making a decision based off of such things. And I think schools that, try to make a big deal out of this only hurt themselves. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, if that's your best recruitment of David Sanders, is that you got to point out somebody else's minute mistake, then what are you really offering? You know what I mean? Go sell yourself. If you're Georgia, if you're Ohio State, right, go sell your recent success. Go sell who you are. I mean, if you're pointing out minute, small things, I think that only hurts those schools. So, again, I think, for David Sanders, he's moved on from it. He tried to make a tongue-in-cheek joke about it yesterday on Instagram and, get past it, because at the end of the day, his, timeline got blown up by all those fans from all those other schools. He heard from coaches at those schools, and I think that was his way of saying this is not a big deal. Like, he could have easily, went another direction. He chose to, be a little tongue-in-cheek and make fun of the people that have blown his timeline up. And, again, we'll see over time what he does. I still think Tennessee's in the best spot here as we head into the Ohio State visit this weekend. Ohio State will have their chance here to see if they can flip the momentum with David Sanders.
No doubt about it. It was also fascinating this weekend, too. There were a lot of players who were committed to other schools that took official visits to Tennessee this weekend. What were some of those guys' responses to the Vols on that official visit? I think Abdul Sanders is another guy that was up. Timothy Merritt, a Miami commit. What were some of the reactions of those guys that left Rocky Top this weekend?
Really good. I think Abdul Sanders had a good time. He goes back to Alabama this weekend. So, you have to wonder, does Alabama kind of get that one, any momentum Tennessee maybe, was able to take out of this past weekend? Do they kind of snatch it back with a visit this weekend? I think that's very possible. We'll see. The one that stands out to me is Jaden Perlotti, the Georgia commit, longtime Georgia commit, been committed for 2 years. And I think Tennessee knocked it out of the park with him. Tennessee will have to, continue to keep the momentum. But as we said here at 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern on a Tuesday, it certainly feels like Tennessee has got the most momentum with him as a potential flip. And we'll see if he makes it to Georgia this weekend. He's supposed to go back. There's some chatter that he might not. I'd say he does, but we'll see. And, Tennessee's got to keep the momentum there because they need a good, strong linebacker in this class, and whether it's Perlotti, Abdul Sanders, or whoever, they've got to continue to go out and see if they can find somebody at that linebacker position, because that's the one position where I feel like they're a touch behind just because they had the coaching change going from BJ to Coach Inge, and Coach Inge is recruiting areas he's never recruited before, and so I think getting a guy in from California was big, and Abdul Sanders, that's where he has ties. And obviously Perlotti's just down the road in the footprint in Georgia.
Austin Price of VolQuest joining us on RKW this morning. Defensively, and the edge out of Enterprise, Alabama, Zion. Am I saying his name right, Zion? Is that correct?
Zion.
Okay, Zion Grady took official visits to Miami, Florida State, Auburn, but he had some great stuff to say about his visit to Tennessee. What was he saying?
Yeah, he said it's the best visit he's been on, Kayla. And, again, Tennessee will have to continue the momentum there. Kids will take more visits. Auburn is definitely in play there for a kid from Enterprise, Alabama. And one of his teammates is looking heavily at Auburn. And so we'll see if Tennessee can keep the momentum there. It doesn't feel like he's super close to doing anything, which, you could think would hurt Tennessee, but I think it actually helps because I think you want this one to go a little while. I think, when there's this much time potentially to go, I think sometimes you would favor the local school. So if you're the away school, you want to, see if you can keep the momentum, get them back up here for a game this fall, so on and so forth. But, Tennessee's in that one. Rodney Garner's done a nice job there and the entire defensive staff. So we'll see where it goes.
When you look at some of the in-state guys just around the league too, running back Chicago Mills Knight, where are they at with him and others around the state as they try to, build a bigger fence around the state of Tennessee?
I thought Tennessee did a really nice job with Chicago Mills Knight. He's been several places the last few weeks: Miami, Alabama, Auburn. He's going to Ole Miss this coming weekend, and so Tennessee's done a nice job. He's from Canada, and so even though he plays at Chattanooga Baylor, he's not like your traditional Chattanooga kid, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think Tennessee has shown really well there. I think, to me, the biggest competition for him, for Tennessee, is Miami and Ole Miss. And this Ole Miss visit this weekend will be one you have to watch.
Ole Miss. Okay, wow, that's going to be fascinating. Also, all I'm seeing in most of these young men's recruiting articles is how much of a family feel it has for them. I bring it up to say this: at what point does it turn from just family feel to also understanding that they're needing them to win too? Like, the family aspect is good until you get on campus and the coach is cussing you out and you got to get up at 5 o'clock for morning runs. Do they understand that, or is that just the biggest sales pitch right now with the way recruiting is? Is look, you are one of us, is what the Vols are trying to sell.
Yeah, I think all those kids understand that they're going to get coached hard, they're going to get developed. I think they're very comfortable with that, no matter where they go, not just at Tennessee, a lot of these schools. I mean, a lot of the football pitch to me is very similar no matter where you go.
Okay.
The amenities are very similar. I mean, they may not be spot on. One school may have a slide like Clemson, or someone else may have whatever else, but it's very similar. Then it comes down to just kind of the feeling you have, which goes back to what you're talking about. Does Josh Heupel treat you the same on a weekend recruiting official visit versus middle of the season in the Alabama week? And I think that's the one thing that players have got across to these recruits is he's the same guy throughout the whole thing. The staff is the same guy. Rodney Garner is unapologetically blunt, honest, and fair with everybody, every step of the way. He does not change for anyone, and I think the consistency is what, players on this team currently and what recruits have found all say about this staff.
Austin Price with us here on RKW. Great work on VolQuest. Austin, and everything you're describing about Tennessee football and just maybe the way that Heupel and his staff believe in terms of how they are in recruiting and what you see is what you get. It all kind of feels familiar in terms of what baseball is doing, in terms of Tony Vitello and how they recruit, and what you see in Tony Vitello is what you get. So I can't walk away with this conversation without talking about some College World Series action. Just how impressed have you been with Tennessee out of the gates with this 2-0 start?
Well, I think what they've shown you all year is they can win a number of different ways. They can win in a slugfest. They can win in a lower scoring game where you're timely hitting, or a timely 3-run homer, pitching that's strong, like Drew Beam and the other 2 relievers gave Tennessee the other night. I think that's something that they've shown all year, and so I think what they've shown to this point is the ability to adapt with every game. Obviously, they pulled off the miracle comeback, or just this comeback, whatever you want to call it, in game 1 against Florida State, and kind of stole that one late. And I think they just gave them more confidence. Now they can find a way to win Wednesday, which is tomorrow. Then you're set back up with your full complement of pitching, just like a normal 3-game series for the championship series. You won't have to go in starting Drew Beam in game 1. Drew Beam will be your game 2 starter, like he would be every other series that you played this year. And let's face it, if Tennessee is to not make the championship series, Florida State or North Carolina will have to do to them what has not been done since the first SEC series when Alabama beat Tennessee back-to-back games in Tuscaloosa on Saturday and Sunday to win that series. Tennessee's not lost back-to-back games like this since then. So, can North Carolina or Florida State do it? Those 2 teams play coming up at 1 o'clock and Tennessee will know who they'll have. I think if you're a Tennessee fan, you root for North Carolina today. They don't have near the amount of bats that Florida State does. But either way, I think if you're Tennessee, you feel pretty good because where you are with your pitching staff, you've had plenty of rest, and your team is playing really confidently coming off these 2 wins over Florida State and North Carolina.
He is Austin Price, our good friend, joining us every Tuesday at this time. Check out his work on On3 Sports, or you could just go follow him on X at Austin Priceless. Thanks, Austin.
Thanks, Oz.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Good stuff right there in terms of a huge recruiting weekend, Ramon, and some guys that they seem like they're legitimately in the mix for.
They are. And that was another question I was going to have for him was the interior offensive lineman, Josh Petty. Is there a world in where I think Florida State's leading that one if their prediction machine on3 is correct? But the Vols have made a strong push for him, and it's just fascinating watching them be in play.
Yeah.
For a lot of these young men. And that's the case with a lot of folks, I feel like, across the recruiting world now is so highlighted. That's why I asked that question, like, are the Vols selling this family vibe? Because
right.
How can you get guys to
how can you have that edge, right?
The edge, yes, 100%.
Because it is a dog fight down here in the South.
Is.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But it looks like they're headed in the right direction. Somebody who does not know what direction they're headed in terms of this next season, Brandon Aiyuk.
Oh, Lord.
We've heard some stuff about him a few months ago, even questions, could he be a Titan? That's probably past, but the saga continues for Brandon Aiyuk. We'll get into the details coming up next on RKW here on 104.5 The Zone.
Fellas, if you're often feeling tired, noticing a lack of motivation and drive, or weight gain and loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone levels. Don't wait. Find out. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple blood test with their on-site lab. You get your results back in about 25 minutes. And Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office. It's a concierge medicine for men. The physicians specialize in treating low testosterone with customized treatments for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have over a decade of experience helping patients achieve life-changing results, and most health insurance is accepted for treatment. And they also have the convenient treatment options, including physician monitor self-inject treatments for established patients that ship directly to your home each month without the need to come in for a weekly visit. Right now at Low T Center, it's only $25 to get your T levels tested. Again, you get those results back in about 25 minutes. So get back to your best and go to lowtcenter.com today to book online. That's lowtcenter.com.
Welcome back into RKW. Closing up hour 3 here. But before we do that, why not continue on a little Brandon Aiyuk drama, if you want to call it that, I guess.
It's got to be.
Saga.
It's definitely.
You know, just a little bit of noise surrounding the 49ers wide receiver. And even so, I think a few months ago, there were Titans fans that wanted him here because he was kind of unhappy at that point too and hasn't reached a deal with the 49ers, obviously asking for some money. They're not willing to necessarily give that money at this point. And so the latest in this whole storyline is that, thank goodness for social media sometimes at least, on TikTok on Monday, the 49ers wide receiver was talking via FaceTime with Washington Commanders rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels.
Nice.
Here's the connection. They were teammates at Arizona State. Yes, Jaden Daniels played there.
That's crazy.
Before he went to LSU back in 2019. So Aiyuk tells Daniels on this FaceTime, they say they don't want me back, alluding to the 49ers.
Yeah.
Daniels responds, that is it? He says, I swear, prompting Daniels to shout, my boy. And Aiyuk wrote the caption of the post, I'm laughing, but I'm crying for real. So, is this for real? Is Aiyuk out of San Francisco and on another squad this next season?
It seems to me that he took a page right out of Deebo Samuel's book. Yeah, I'm talking about verbatim. You remember last year when the A.J. Brown, was a couple years ago now at this point, the A.J. Brown and Deebo Samuel FaceTime or conversation
right.
was leaked and A.J. mentioned his numbers and Deebo Samuel was on the call and one of those Deebo Samuel family members was like, who was that? And he was like, this is A.J. And they had the whole conversation that went public and now you can't find that audio anywhere, by the way.
I know. What happened to that?
They did a real good job of scrubbing that. But it seems to me that he's trying to forcibly negotiate either through the public right now as far as Brandon Aiyuk is concerned. Either trade me or sign me. What happened with Deebo Samuel was Deebo Samuel's ended up getting signed to the San Francisco 49ers. So I see that scenario happening, it seems to me, in this situation as the same as his. Aiyuk has been on the table, I feel like, most of this offseason as far as trades and has been a guy that seems to want to come back to the East Coast too. Again, we'll see what the 49ers do as far as retaining him. The thing is, he's under contract. Whether they said they want him back or not, or he said they don't want him, well, somebody's got to be negotiating somewhere. And if they are trying to trade him now, well, their trade value has actually gone down a good bit because he's publicly said they don't want me back unless he was lying. And that is a...
And he said for real.
Yeah, that's a terrible thing to lie about in the public if the 49ers didn't tell you that. If not, Deebo is going to be gone. That is, and I see Jeremy Fowler said the contract talks have stalled with Aiyuk and the 49ers. I like him. I think he's a good player. He wants to go somewhere, it seems like, to be the profile guy. I know Pittsburgh has been linked to him.
Well, that's what I was going to mention. Because Pittsburgh, Washington, New England, and the Cardinals, and the Chargers actually have also been linked to him. But I was going to specifically ask you legitimately how he could help this Steelers offense.
Yeah, all of those teams I know could use his services, especially the Chargers. Also, he wouldn't even have to leave the state. Arizona also could use his services too. Pittsburgh has been linked to him for the longest. I think he's even mentioned Pittsburgh a time or two this offseason.
My boy.
Yeah.
Wait, where was that?
Yeah,
you clip. My boy. You little.
He's good back there. See,
you little thong wearing. You know what?
That's getting clipped too. Keep it going.
But Pittsburgh has a wide receiver problem. They do, but they don't. George Pickens is their wide receiver number 1. They don't have a clear number 2 on the squad that's a threat. The same way we talked about the Titans in years past. All right, you got D-Hop, but it really holds your offense back in those situations right there. So if he's up for it, I know Pittsburgh has a cap availability to pay a guy like him.
Sure.
They're not paying the quarterback right now with Russ only playing for $1 million. I think Justin Fields only being paid $3 million.
I'm sorry, that still blows my mind. You reiterating that he's playing for that amount.
They want him. I'm not sure if he wants to be there, but the conversation has been loud about the connection between Brandon Aiyuk and Pittsburgh.
So with him too, in terms of money, like what he wants, because that's not exactly out there yet. And
Right.
Ian Rappaport commented on it after this TikTok video yesterday and was saying it's not like the Niners don't want him back. So maybe that has not been exactly said by the Niners yet.
No.
But it's the price that they don't want to agree to.
Of course not. They will have to pay Brock Purdy.
And that's the thing, right? Yeah.
They're really living a good life right now because they got the Mr. Irrelevant on a rookie deal still. So they know that's coming around the corner. They've already played Debo. And, of course, they just got to plan for the future if they want to keep this Super Bowl window open. His number, again, can it survive? That roster is probably 25 plus. Heck, we just saw Justin Jefferson get 40. I'm not sure if that's what he wants. I'm not sure if Brandon Aiyuk is a $35 million a year receiver.
We don't know.
Bert, in your assessment, is he about
what
35?
is he?
He's
Price-wise.
probably outside that top 5 looking in, but I mean, he could probably get a little bit above what Calvin Ridley got.
Okay.
You got to think he's not getting paid this year. If he gets paid next year, the salary cap's going to keep going up.
It is.
So he's probably going to make in the high 20s.
High 20s.
a
But
good
by the
number.
time Jamar Chase gets paid, by the time all these other guys that are
CeeDee Lamb
that
and-
are in the top 5,
Right.
that are in the top 10, that money will look less so. So I mean, if anyone is going to pay him, the quicker you do it, the better it is for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. The saga continues.
Yeah,
Who
I
knows
know.
for how long?
Of course, I watch and cover the Steelers too.
Yeah.
Omar Khan, the GM, freed up about like $7 million about a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're in a position to do it. It's a matter of what are you giving up? Because I think a first rounder may have to be given up for a guy like Debo. We'll see.
Well, you can update us because, see,
I will.
Ramon has all the connections. He can break the news right in here.
Hey, we'll see on this one. This
Right?
one's been real. It's like the most known unknowns conversation
Yes.
ever is Brandon Aiyuk in Pittsburgh.
Well, what's not really ever been known for in terms of, camaraderie is Tennessee and Vanderbilt players coming together on the hardwood? Like, wait. What is this about? But that's right. There is no lie in that statement. They actually came together to win a championship tomorrow.
Yes.
Last night. You would think I was the one that drank all weekend and got off an airplane, but I'm not.
No.
But that did happen, and it happened last night, and now they are champions. We'll explain coming up next on RKW, Hour 4, as we roll along here on 104.5 The Zone.
Fellas, if you're often feeling tired, noticing a lack of motivation and drive, or weight gain and loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone levels. Don't wait. Find out. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple blood test with their on-site lab. You get your results back in about 25 minutes. And Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office. It's a concierge medicine for men. The physicians specialize in treating low testosterone with customized treatments for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have over a decade of experience helping patients achieve life-changing results, and most health insurance is accepted for treatment. And they also have the convenient treatment options, including physician-monitored self-inject treatments for established patients that ship directly to your home each month without the need to come in for a weekly visit. Right now at Low T Center, it's only $25 to get your T levels tested. Again, you get those results back in about 25 minutes. So get back to your best and go to lowtcenter.com today to book online. That's lowtcenter.com.
What's going on, you bunch of hooligans? 901. Good morning from the 1045 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. 21 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists from your finals MVP, Jaylen Brown, and the Boston Celtics blowing out the Dallas Mavericks 106-88 to win the 2024 NBA Finals, winning a record-setting 18th NBA title on the 16th anniversary of the day they won their 17th championship in the same building. In doing so, the Celtics passed their forever rivals, the Los Angeles Lakers, for the most titles in NBA history. The AFC North getting ready for its close-up, as the division known for heated rivalries will be featured on the in-season edition of HBO's Hard Knocks series this season. It is the first time the Emmy Award-winning series has chronicled an entire division. Last season, the AFC North's 4 teams finished with winning records. That is the only time a division has done that in the Super Bowl era. And June 26th, if you don't have plans, now you do, to come hang out at Game Terminal for RKW. Plenty of food, drinks, and games. And now is your chance right now. All you got to do is be caller number 5 for you to win a pair of VIP passes for free food, gameplay, goodie bag, and free drink tickets and more to come to hang out with at Game Terminal with us June 26th for RKW. So be caller number 5 right now to get yourself some VIP passes. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 1045. I'm going to wait till y'all start calling, because y'all be taking a while when I want y'all to call. But when we don't want you to call, y'all just hop up on the line.
You better call.
The Zone.
Hour 4, we have reached the mark, my fine people, of this Tuesday edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. The phone lines are lighting up as you can win VIP passes to our RKW night coming up in a week. It'll be next Wednesday, alongside our 11-year NFL veteran, RVFL. It's Ramon Foster.
Yes, indeed. We're checked in, baby.
We are checked in. We are checked in, indeed. We got Robert Walsh answering phones back there and just doing it all, as he always does.
And also laying out rules, too, in his update, Bert. That was a great way to do what you just did there, man. Letting the people know you run this, not them, okay?
He runs the show, and he's going to pick a caller right now. He is continuously on the phone. We'll let you know who that winner is, but excited for our RKW night. That's next Wednesday, and maybe they can beat you at a couple games. What's your specialty, I would say?
Whack-a-mole.
Wait, what?
I kid.
Whack-a-mole?
Whack-a-mole. Probably, if I'm going to anybody, it's probably going to be
hilarious.
It's probably going to be air hockey. I never was able to master like the art of the toggle and buttons on arcade games and stuff like that. I'm for the pinball, for sure. I'm for the pinball. Skee ball is another one.
Skee ball's good.
But for me, I'm always going for the center one. I heard the best way to win a skee ball is to go for the corners. The corners is how you win in skee ball.
Okay.
Never been a big skee ball. I'm always going for the 5,000 one in the middle.
Yes.
Never hit that one. And that's, I guess, is like playing basketball. You got to practice at it to be good at it. So we'll see. And Pac-Man, love Pac-Man.
Pac-Man is one of those, I don't know if y'all remember, but in like the old school Pizza Huts.
Yeah.
And you would wait like in the, area, they'd have those Pac-Man games where you could sit down and play Pac-Man before you went and ate your pizza. That's what I remember about Pac-Man in those old school Pizza Huts.
Yeah.
I'd always like sit down and play that.
No
One
doubt.
thing I miss the most about those Pizza Huts, did y'all's grandparents ever used to take you? It used to be a buffet.
Yes.
You could go in and get pizza, get a
salad bar?
Pizza Hut salad bar is the reason I love salad to this day.
Me too, Bert.
But I found out, now you look back and you're like, oh, all the Pizza Huts are just come in, pick it up, leave now. There is actually still a pizza buffet Pizza Hut in Tennessee.
Okay, wait.
Is it? Really?
Where?
It is in Donaldson. right in my neck of the woods.
You're going to have people all over
Look, yeah, I
that.
gave free shout-outs. I hate that.
Oh, man.
But $10.99. Can't beat that salad bar.
With the salad bar,
With the
too?
salad bar.
Dude, that is legit. In this economy,
Oh, my gosh. It's
Man.
I always felt like Pizza Hut is pumping in smells because the smell of their restaurant is just so phenomenal.
Is that a good thing?
And
Okay, I
maybe
was
it's
gonna
just
say.
butter. It's butter and bread.
and that's fine with me.
That's all it is. Butter and bread
Right?
and just, pepperoni pieces. That's all it is, Kayla.
Now, I am craving pizza. Thank you, guys, because
You're welcome.
I had enough last week, and now I'm craving it again.
Well, see, what happens is you send Travis out for pizzas, okay? But he keeps them warm and want to listen to phone interviews.
By the way, we got in a scuffle again about this last night
you
because I
really?
did something and he brought back the pizza thing. He did. And I was like, this needs to die now.
No, Trav, keep holding on to your dub, baby. Keep holding on to that dub. Men don't usually get dubs like this.
Oh, my goodness. I'm telling
And now
you.
Travis got a dub that he can hold on to. Bert, when was the last time you threw something up in
Y'all need
your
to back
spouse's
down.
face? You don't get that opportunity.
No, don't bring up old stuff like that. I'm too busy living in the now. I'm too busy living in the now.
Hey, shout out to him, man. I don't know what it was.
Yeah,
that
you
y'all
got
went back
a
to,
kick
but
out of that.
I'm back. I'm backing Travis on this.
I know
one.
you
That's
are.
all I'm saying.
And what is the coincidence that Dawn and I both have
Travis
significant others that are Travis's? Like, it's just weird.
And it is such a weird dynamic because your husband Travis went to Auburn. Babs went to Auburn also.
Yeah.
Wow.
They missed each other by like a couple years.
You guys really are in the same boat.
Yeah. Very
Jeez.
funny.
And you and Babs worked in the same line before
Yeah.
this.
Well,
There's a
Babs
lot of
was, I don't think
personality.
y'all know this, but Babs was who I looked up to.
Big dog.
For most of, this is random, but I followed Nashville sports for a long time over when I lived on the West Coast. Don't ask me why. I have random stories like this all
You
the
knew
time.
where home was.
Yeah, right.
You knew where
Exactly.
home
I
was,
ended up
yeah.
here. I wanted to come here for so many years when I was back West Coast. It never happened. And then finally, when the timing was right, it happened. Long story short, though, I looked up to Dawn for a lot of years in terms of how she went about her business, in terms of when she was on local news doing sports. And look, now we're in the same city,
same
working
market,
at the same
same
station.
place.
Such a wild ride. And it was a wild ride. Speaking of this, who would have thought that a Vanderbilt and Tennessee basketball player would come together on the hardwood and would be hoisting a trophy together? Yeah. But it happened. And it happened last night in Boston. We are talking about the Boston Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks. Boston Celtics winning the championship last night. Their 18th World Championship. They are now surpassing the Lakers, who have 17. And Luke Cornett of Vanderbilt played from 2013 to 2017. And Jaden Springer of Tennessee, who played a year at Tennessee, have won a world championship. That's pretty dang cool.
Big time, man. Congratulations to both of them again. And also to the Celtics for doing it their way. They got a lot of guys that's been in their system for a while. Jaden Springer is one of those dudes. He was a first rounder to the 76ers. He's bounced around a time or two to some other places, but he settled in Boston this year. And also, he was the guy that also won the G League championship. He's won before. And that's how it is in baseball. I feel like in almost every sport, young players like Jaden Springer and others have the ability to go to lower leagues like the G League and play and get better with their crafts and stuff like that. And the same thing goes for Luke Cornett, being an undrafted guy. Bounced around the league in different leagues and the Maine Celtics. It was the Boston Celtics. It was the Cleveland Cavs, the Milwaukee Bucks. Went back to the Maine Celtics in 22, and it said in 2022, he signed a 2-year deal that's kept him there for this
the
time, and now
Celtics.
he's a world champion. With that squad, man. It was a great series. If you did not watch any NBA, if Will was here, nobody watches the NBA. But
I think a lot of people. While this was a blowout series in a way, it was still fun.
It was very much so.
Right?
Yeah.
Bert?
Great series.
And it's nice to see the rivalry get put down. It's almost like these two were coming together to say this about the rivalry
we
between
go.
Tennessee and Vanderbilt.
This needs to die now. I am
Just keep
literally
saying things,
I'm going to
Kayla.
walk off this set.
Just
Y'all
keep-
can do the interview with Samaria.
It's almost like Kayla's tired of me pulling things.
This needs to die now.
You thought it was
You
all.
can give me that gold, Kayla. You can give me that gold.
What else you got? What else you got?
The sad part about this is I have no idea, and that was 2 minutes ago, and I have no idea what I was saying at that point to whatever I was trying to prove a point to.
You were talking about Travis.
My boy. I told you, I can walk out of the studio for the next interview, and he has enough cuts that I'm done. I'm going on vacation early.
Kayla doesn't even have to ask questions. I'll just be like, Kayla, so
Here he goes.
you've been to a
waiting.
lot of training camps. So who would you say
My boy.
is?
Blue.
Way to go, Kayla. Kayla's made the soundboard.
We do. I was going to say, we need it's about that time that we're going to do some new intros.
I was thinking the same thing.
know?
I was like, Kayla is restocking me with plenty of good stuff. But after I make new intros, this one's done.
This needs to die now.
No, you gotta keep that. When we get off the
I
rails,
will
Bert.
say that is my favorite because that really paints the picture of my emotions and how I am. I try to keep it together on this show, but that ain't real milk.
No, the goal is to always get off the rails, Kayla. We're better when we're off the rails. You feel me?
We are. We just don't want the drivers that are driving to their jobs in Nashville in the mornings to drive off the road.
No,
So,
we
just
can't
want 'em to
sign
keep
off
saying
on
it.
that.
Wouldn't want anybody to be saying.
This needs to die now.
We wouldn't want anybody to say that on their way to work.
Hey, who was I hanging with this weekend, man? It was
Who are you not hanging with at Ron Slay's wedding?
Oh.
Snoop Dogg was not there, by the way. He was in Milwaukee doing play-by-play work. I was hoping he'd make it.
I know exactly who you're talking about. It was I can't remember.
My boy.
That's right.
That's what I was
That's
with.
it. Now you
my
guys
boy.
are scheming together.
I was with my boy.
We're out. I'm just joking. We got two more, I should say, segments to go. And maybe Samaria Terry of News 2 will have some fun with us. Like her and I, we can be those people. So maybe she'll show us a little bit of her personality here coming up. She's never joined the show before.
She hasn't. I've only run into her one or two
Yeah.
times in passing, so this would be fascinating.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can get a cool wedding story from her, too. Best wedding.
I'm sure she's got some story to
Yeah,
tell
have
us.
to.
We'll talk Titans. We'll hear what Eddie George had to say about the new running back duo in Tennessee. That's coming up next on RKW 104.5 The Zone.
Fellas, if you're often feeling tired, noticing a lack of motivation and drive, or weight gain and loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone levels. Don't wait. Find out. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple blood test with their on-site lab. You get your results back in about 25 minutes. And Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office. It's a concierge medicine for men. The physicians specialize in treating low testosterone with customized treatments for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have over a decade of experience helping patients achieve life-changing results, and most health insurance is accepted for treatment. And they also have the convenient treatment options, including physician monitor self-inject treatments for established patients that ship directly to your home each month without the need to come in for a weekly visit. Right now at Low T Center, it's only $25 to get your T levels tested. Again, you get those results back in about 25 minutes. So get back to your best and go to lowtcenter.com today to book online. That's lowtcenter.com.
Welcome back into RKW. Let's get back into some Titans talk, shall we?
Yeah.
And I am proud to introduce somebody who has never been on the show before, which is mind-boggling for me to even say. Does great work over at News 2, Samaria. Terry, how are you, my dear?
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Bert was just laughing at me because he's like, "Are you at a library?" I'm like, "No, I just woke up, but we're good." Good morning.
See, don't, Samaria, you
woke
already
up to us, right?
You're already starting off on the wrong foot. I just want to say that right now. You're dealing with morning show folks, okay? And we're already about to be 4 hours in, and you talking about you just woke up. Don't do this.
I'm a night person.
You
I
are.
work the night shift.
Yep, she does. And I understand how that is because you got to wait till all the sports get done in local TV and then you do your broadcast. So that is definitely something that you are used to. But we appreciate you joining the show, Samaria. Let's talk a little Titans and we'll get to your takeaways from camp and OTAs. But I want to start with, you were recently this last week at the 15th annual NFL Alumni Charity Golf Classic. Tons of former Titans that were there. And I want to ask you about Eddie George in a minute, but I'll start with just what you took from some of the guys and their impressions on this new staff and Brian Callahan leading the way.
Yeah, well, first off, I want to just say that that's such a great event that Al Smith, former Oilers linebacker, puts together each year. Nate Washington was kind of raving about the first year he was invited, and now each year he looks forward to the text message from Al about where it's going to be and being able to see all of the guys. And I think that was so touching for me because that was something that Eddie even brought up, just seeing everybody in good health because they've had a few deaths over the years. And so that was something that we didn't even think about as the media coming into this event, that this is like a homecoming for these guys, getting to see each other because they probably have things that they do throughout the year, but they know this weekend in June, they're going to be there every year at this golf tournament and they can see each other and then also do it for a good cause.
Yeah.
So this year it was for the American Cancer Society. I always think that that's just an amazing organization to give back to. So yes, but they are so excited. Nate raved about Miss Amy. He's like, I've been talking to all of my friends and family, anybody who can listen about the job that Miss Amy has done. And I'm like, okay, this is good. Like, you always want to hear your former players talking highly about your franchise. And so that was really great.
So when it comes to Eddie George, and clearly, he's so involved in the community over at TSU now, but does anything when it comes to, former Titans events. And so specifically, he was there and you asked him about the running back situation now that they have Tajay Spears in his second year, but now a new addition in Tony Pollard. And of course, Derrick Henry is gone. And he's excited for this new backfield.
Yes, so he kind of talked about like the different generations because he's like, okay, you got me over here, you got Chris Johnson over there. So I kind of like piggybacked off that. I'm like, okay, we're talking about new generations of running backs. This running back room looks completely different than it has ever looked. You have two explosive backs coming out of the backfield. What do you think about those guys? And first of all, he loves Tony Pollard. Like, he's a huge fan of Tony Pollard. He was like, I've been watching him since he was with the Cowboys. He does feel like Tajay has a high ceiling. Of course, it's his second year in the NFL. So he's like, let's just kind of see him work a little bit more to see how much he can grow. But he's so excited. And then he kind of pivoted to the offensive line.
There we go, Ramon.
Yes.
He's like, Bill Callahan is the best acquisition the Titans made this offseason. And he's like, we can expect to see a lot of downhill runs because of the Bill Callahan offensive line. So listen, the guys are excited. If you want to talk about Chris Johnson, we can too, because I thought he had some interesting takes about the offense as well.
Yeah. I mean, what did Chris Johnson have to say? This is a favorite, by the way. CJ2K obviously had so much that he left out here in terms of what he did on the field. And he commented about the backs as well.
Yeah, so I asked him about that, of course, and he's like, oh, we're in a good situation. He's so, like, laid back. That was my first time ever talking to him in person. So laid back, different from what you see on the field, right, with the golds in his mouth and stuff like that. So he's really chill. But, yeah, he's like, oh, it's a great situation with Tony and Tajay. He's like, they both can run. They both can catch the ball out the backfield. And then he pivoted to the receiver room. So it's just like they were just so excited to talk about this offense. And he's just like, Brian Callahan wants to throw the ball all over the field, and that's what excites him the most.
News 2 Sports anchor Samaria Terry with us this morning discussing the Titans. Samaria, you've been around this team in this offseason in particular. How different was it in years past from what you experienced this year?
Oh my God, I feel like I'm such a terrible person to ask this to, because I feel like I came in and Corey always says this. He's like, once you got here, we've started losing.
Yeah.
As soon as I got here in October of 2022, we have not won a game.
Wow.
Dang, Samaria.
Wow.
I know. I hate that. So I just feel like the vibes. I guess like I wish I could have seen it before when Vrabel was winning to give an accurate representation. But what I can say is, I think it was Chig Okonkwo saying that the vibes are immaculate, and you really can see it. The guys don't feel like pressured anymore. It doesn't seem like you have like a warden walking around.
Wow.
I hate to say that, but it's the truth. I mean, they just seem so laid back and so calm. And I feel like you're going to get the best out of a player. So that's my take on it. Ooh. Vrabel never knew my name anyway, so it's okay.
We love you shooting it straight, all right? Never apologize for that.
Said he never knew your name anyway. With that being said, how much pressure? We hadn't spoken about this much, and it's probably a right before the season start type of conversation. As much as we've seen this offseason, as good as it's been as far as the vibes, right? And guys are excited and they can be free and be themselves. All the things that we've heard, even some of the fan base are just like, what is this offseason all about? But now that we're about to go into the football season, how much pressure is on Coach Brian Callahan in his first season? Do you see much pressure for him?
I don't see any pressure, honestly. I think that let's backtrack. I think that Miss Amy and Rand have done a good job at putting him in a position to be successful, but I don't think that they necessarily are requiring much. I know that they would want to win, right? But I don't see them being like, well, if you don't win, then you're out of here, or we're moving stuff around. I think this is really just a year for him to get his footing, to be honest. But I think that the Titans will win because there isn't that much pressure on them. Because the national media doesn't even have them. What is it like? They have them winning a couple of games.
Yeah, I think 6
this season.
Is the over-under.
So everyone has really already counted them out.
Yeah.
And I think that you always get the best, I feel like, when a team is nobody is really thinking about that much.
Well, with that, Samaria Terry of News 2 joining us now, you were saying everybody's counting them out because nationally, they don't always get a lot of love. And I think the most love they've got recently was when Vrabel was winning. And Mike Vrabel is obviously a personality. Will Levis is a personality. We have seen that in the past, year, and now coming in with OTAs and mandatory minicamp. He's taken a step forward with his leadership, that coming from several of his teammates. How much pressure is on Will Levis this year?
Ooh, okay. So that's different. I do feel like there's pressure, but the pressure comes from himself. I get it. The pressure is coming from him. I mean, he feels like, okay, this is my second year in the NFL. I have to make a big leap. And we also saw how Rand was able to bring in some more veteran guys that he can rely on, because he did rely so heavily on DeAndre Hopkins last year. I do feel like there's a little bit of pressure for Will, but I think it's coming more from, like I said, himself, if anything.
Yeah. And on the other side of that, too, as it pertains to the defense, defensively, it seems like Denard Wilson is very intense. He's going to expect a lot out of his guys. What have you seen in your engagements with him over the course of this spring? Because I think everybody loves him at the podium, but there's a different person when he's on the practice field.
Oh, for sure. And he is in their face. Like, he is like hands on knees, locked in. Like Arden said, he does not allow us to move on unless we have it done correctly. And when Arden says, oh, I've never experienced that before, everybody was like, wait, what? And of course he says it to Paul. But I'm just like, who kind of like took it and kept asking questions. But that was mind-boggling to me, because you would assume that any coordinator would be so heavily attention to detail like that. And for Arden to say, I've never experienced that in all of my years playing in the NFL, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So I think that that's already kind of setting the tone for what we're going to see defensively this season.
When it comes to us coming out of mandatory minicamp and OTAs, we've seen a lot of the rookies. But the one player that we did not see, and I know the Titans posted a picture of him in one of those OTAs, but since then we did not see T'Vondre Sweat, the second-round pick out of Texas. He is going to be a big part of that line no matter what in terms of the defense. But how important is it for him for this training camp to be big in terms of we just didn't even see him? And what are you expecting him to do?
I'm trying not to worry about it. When I ask people, they're like, oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. But I personally worry just a little bit. I'm a worrier. But when we asked Tracy Rocker, he's like, oh, he's fine. You know, in the classroom, he's doing great. And then J.C. Latham was the one who actually kind of gave up the info, the intel that he was injured, and just to be patient. So I'm not sure if he tweaked something that was already there. I know that we saw him day one of rookie minicamp, and then that was it. And honestly, he looked a little tired, you know. I mean, this is like your first NFL practice, so I can understand that. But it will be interesting to see him training camp. Hopefully he's healed, he's rested and ready to go, because all eyes are going to be on that defensive line and specifically on T'Vondre Sweat.
So then who is the rookie that you were able to watch and observe over the last few weeks that you feel like can contribute from the start?
Yeah, they did such a great job, honestly. I mean, you can just name so many guys. I was looking at Jabari Small, running back out of Tennessee. We also talked about Gabe Judy Lally, cornerback from Tennessee, who made some great plays behind Cheeto and Snead, and he was really excited about that. I think when we talk about like inspirational stories, you have Jarvis Brownlee, who's also a quarterback. He told us that he was actually shot. He was grazed on the side when he was 13 years old in his hometown, sitting at a Burger King with his dad. And he talked about like how that completely changed his perspective on life. And he would not be a football player if that had not happened to him. So he was really able to just be candid and open with us. I think he also told us that he has a daughter. And so those are just kind of things that have been motivating him. But these rookies have just great stories. And going back to Jabari, he's a guy that has a very similar skill set with Tony and Tajay. He's from Memphis, like Tony. So he's just been so excited to be able to be in that room with those guys learning. He's like, I do have a little bit of my own kind of swag to it, but for the most part, he can really complement them. And so I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. Kayla, who do you think?
Well, the big ones too, and I love how you brought up names that we don't usually talk about, because on this show we've talked about obviously a lot of the high round draft picks, and so J.C. Latham is going to be the first guy that comes to your mind. And I know you specifically talked to Bill Callahan at the end of OTAs last week, and just have been impressed overall with what that line group as a whole has done.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we thought that. Remember, we got to practice and we were like, okay, there's no way none of your big names on that offensive line will be here at the last OTA. And every single guy was there. That was something that really stood out to me. I asked Bill and Brian about that, because I'm like, okay, these guys are really bought in. They're really locked in. I don't know in previous years that we would have seen that, honestly. But you have to give credit to Bill, like everybody has been doing. And JC is just great. I mean, he's an Alabama kid. I went to Auburn, so I'm not going to hold him to that. But, you know, the fact that he's out there every day and they have to throw him off of the practice field because of, like, time restrictions, it's crazy. In the rain, in the sun, he's always going to be out there. And he said that he feels like if he can go out there and practice twice a day, then he's going to progress twice as fast. And that's his mindset.
No doubt about
it. Great kid.
Another great kid, and a lot of folks are rooting for, is Malik Willis. Samaria, what have you seen from him in the role that he's had this spring? Because they signed a veteran in Mason Rudolph. What have you seen out of Malik this spring that at least give some people some hope who are rooting for him, or just open up the discussion for him?
You know, Malik seems to be doing well. for me personally, I'm a huge Malik Willis fan. And I think that somebody asked, I can't remember if it was Nick Holz or did they ask Brian Callahan about like his footwork? And he's like, well, he's the most natural when it comes to footwork.
Holtz, yeah.
Among the three quarterbacks. So I thought that was really promising. And Brian Callahan is like, look, everybody's going to get a shot. It seems like he's more with the threes, but he's like, I guess they alternate between him and Mason Rudolph on who is running second team, who's running third team. But it seems like he's not just as vocal, like he kind of has taken a step back, and that's because this is Will's offense, you know. But it will be interesting. I'm rooting for him, so I want to see him succeed. And but he seems to be looking really good just from what we can see from the media at watching practice. Yeah.
Okay, so one more question for you since we have a few weeks off before we get to that point. So I don't know if you heard, but Ron Slay got married this past weekend. And Ramon, yes. And it was a big wedding over in Long Beach. So it was actually, you know, out of the city. So Ramon Foster here and Robert Walsh, our producer, they went there. And I've had to hear all morning, I've had FOMO because I've heard all morning the great stories and the parties that they had over there. And so they wanted me to ask you, because I feel like you go into a wedding, like you could get in your element there. So what's your best wedding experience?
Oh, wait.
It ain't necessarily the wedding, like the vows exchange. The reception, I'm telling you, was so insane. I think everybody that went is still recovering.
Okay, so I actually just went to a wedding in February, former Vanderbilt football player, and I felt like it was so star-studded. Like you had like Coach Derek Mason like at the end of our table. Like you had some other coaches. You had Dansby Swanson at the table over there. That was a beautiful wedding. Shout out to CJ and Pat. It was at the Schermerhorn. And then, so we had like a really nice traditional reception. And then like everybody at the end was like, well, just stay, like all the young people stay. And then at the, like you go downstairs and there was like a little side room where they had like a real after party with the DJ and another bar.
Nice.
It was absolutely beautiful. I think that's probably one of the better ones that I've gone to.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't come back the same after this one, okay?
I know, Samaria. I'm telling you, life-changing. We're thinking about coming out with the After Hours podcast on just that wedding.
Oh, yes, please.
My goodness. Samaria Terry of News 2. Check her out. Samaria, you were on, Wednesdays through Sundays on News 2?
Yes, that's a terrible schedule, but that's mine.
You know what? But you're a grinder, baby. We appreciate you, Samaria Terry of News 2. We'll see you once the season training camp gets going here in a few weeks.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Have a great one.
Okay, you too, bye.
All right, that's Samaria Terry of News 2. When we get back, we will wrap up the show. We'll get to your last phone call, 615-737-1045, The Zone.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. By the way, shout out to Hiller. They'll be at my house today because one of my AC units is messing up at the crib. Not okay, but here's the thing. Let's face it, things aren't often as simple as they make them seem when it comes to your house. This summer, Hiller is making summer simple. With real-time technician tracking, you'll know exactly when they're on their way, and you can trust that you have the best and brightest techs in your home fixing your problem on the first trip out. From now until June 30th, enjoy a free service call with work perform or take $25 off any plumbing or electrical repair. Simply visit happyhiller.com today for details.
Welcome back to RKW as we put a bow on today's show.
Yay.
Just a reminder, we will not be in studio tomorrow for June 19th. We'll have that off, but we will all reunite as an RKW family on Thursday. And who knows what shenanigans that will bring.
Ooh, we should have plenty of stories, man. I had so much from this wedding I still hadn't unpacked. Like, I almost thought that me and Bert was part of the Rack Pack this weekend because he was like, Mo, I appreciate you babysitting me. I was like, babysit you? Dog, you was the homie this weekend.
My
like,
boy.
What do we tell you? Yeah, it was my boy.
These are
That's
never
what I'm
going to
talking
end.
about.
These clips are never going to end
It's
from
not.
today.
So if y'all, we have friends in the studio this morning.
We do, yeah.
And, Caleb, what happens behind the scene is Robert. Okay, Robert. He saves audio from us and he plays it back to us. As an evil person as he is, okay, he'll use our words against us, and he's using Caleb's words against us.
Yeah, because today supposedly I had a lot to say, and so he clipped every single one of those things.
Yes, indeed. I love that for you. By the way, it's not just me anymore.
I know.
I love that
now
for
it's
you.
both of us.
Absolutely. He got me sounding like the Baltimore Ravens defense. I hated the Baltimore Ravens defense. Okay, you better get in now while we're offering it up.
See. That's what he does.
Do this, Bert. You're better than this, okay? Either way, and by the way, he sent us a news clipping. The Baltimore Ravens ended up getting alternative helmets, too.
So what is this? Every team now has like 500 alternative uniforms. I can't keep up.
It's the branding of the NFL. And Baltimore ended up picking a weak helmet to have as their alternate helmet.
So paint the picture for us.
Go ahead. Get that trash talk in. That's what you want.
It's trash. It's weak, okay? Y'all could have did better.
It says Bumblebee Boy.
You look purple.
What's y'all's alternative look like?
And our alternative is solid.
No,
okay,
it's solid. Like what? Solid, like
solid as we were this weekend that you're trying to break up. Okay, we were good.
We were good, and then you start. See, you make me want to cuss so bad because
don't do that.
We have these intimate moments. See, me and Ramon we were on the beach. We're sipping Don Julio. Our toes were interlocked in the sand.
We're not interlocked in the sand.
Come on, you don't have to be ashamed of it anymore. We have to wear boys like that. In fact, you were my boy. Where's that damn sounder at?
Come on,
I'm in charge of the Sounders.
You are in charge of the Sounders.
That's my boy. You don't gotta be scared of it. We can come together despite we're like the Hatfields and the McCoys.
We were
ketchup
Ebony
and mustard.
Ivory this weekend.
Pepsi and Coca-Cola.
I don't like these helmets.
Yeah. Oh, Kayla.
Dude, the bird looks like it's like having
it's coming straight
issues.
at you.
Like it's on the pod or something. Like
No,
the bird's got
come
red
on.
eyes and
See,
it's like
people
under
just
the
don't.
influence.
got red
Like what is
eyes.
going on with
He
the
would have
bird?
had him in California.
He just like me for real. He's just like me for real.
Man, what they do, put you on the helmet there?
Yeah,
my
the
goodness.
birds. That's what they would
For
be
you
about.
in the F&M Bank chat, there's a picture
I
of
hate
the
those
helmet.
Go ahead and look
There.
that bad boy up. That thing is slick. Y'all are just haters, man. Y'all are the biggest haters I know. And that's why they
I
keep.
always support you. This is one thing I'm
No,
not
we
going to
do
support you
not.
on.
I'm not supporting Bert whatsoever.
That's fine. That's fine. One day y'all are gonna miss me. One day you're gonna wish you could think back to our toes in the sand, Don Julio in the cup, and you can wish you have them times back. But you're going to think back to moments like this when you poo-pooed me, you poo-pooed my people. So I'm just out of here. You are no longer
My boy.
You're no longer my boy.
What's crazy is, you know what? There's a lot of stuff that we still have to unpack from this weekend, okay?
My suitcase.
I'll leave
Your
that
suitcase?
to you guys in
Your
the after
suitcase?
hours
I'm telling
party.
you, I had something special in my pocket I had to get out when I got back. But other than that, everything is strode about. My house looks like a war zone.
I got a feeling we can't discuss what you found in your pocket.
No.
that's fine. Okay,
Moving on.
That's anyway.
Moving
Great
on.
show today. Want to thank Austin Price for coming on with us.
We're out of here early.
We got.
Yeah, no, we're not. We're good right now.
I can't end it right now. But
You
if I
can't
could,
end
I
it.
would. Because y'all are some tattletales. Not only are y'all haters, y'all are some tattletales.
Nobody's tattletelling on you, man. We're just calling a great time a better time over air. That's all we're doing right now.
All right, that's
Lips
fine.
are zipped.
By the way, he went to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, right? Iconic spot, by the way. If you guys hadn't been there, you got to stop by and
But
go.
that's not in the South.
But he went there. But
not
let
at
me tell
all.
you about his southern self. Let me
Okay.
tell you about his southern self. You can remove him. You can remove him out of the South, but the South will forever be in him. We went to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, and his dinner selection was
Oh, jeez.
some chicken livers.
They were
Ew.
gas too.
They were fire.
They were
I'm being real
gas.
with you. I grabbed one. That is like some backcountry stuff right there. There's some people right now that's like, yeah, you better throw some gravy and some rice on it. Bert had his straight up fried with some red beans and rice, and I was proud of my boy.
Hey, it was good though.
You
and
are country. You're from
greens
North Carolina.
I can't help it. It's not my fault. We used to go catfishing, and when you hunt for catfish, when you're fishing
for catfish,
when you're don't.
You shoot catfish
you keep it down over there. You could. Some of the ones I catch are big enough. But when you're fishing for catfish, you use chicken livers. So I remember my dad used to take like half of them out, put them in a little cooler you take with you, and the other half my grandma would fry up and eat the hell out of them chicken livers.
Okay.
And if you got an iron deficiency, your little fun fact for you, any gizzards, livers, stuff like that, high in iron. So you could have called me Iron.
Taste.
I was the Iron Man this weekend because I half chicken liver, half Don Julio. That's the percentage that broke me down this weekend.
Disgusting.
The tequila and tonic this weekend though was
until we drank them out. We drank them out of tonic. We had to start drinking tequila Sprite. And
Can you imagine?
These poor interns in here are probably like, "What the hell did we sign up for? What kind of show
Y'all
is
good, right?
this?"
Look at this. That's what we got.
They're
Kentucky.
like, break out the Julio now.
We got Florida State in here. We got Auburn. Texas Tech, never heard of them.
No, Texas A&M.
Oh, Texas
Wait a
A&M.
second. Don't put that on him.
I was right in naming
They're
it
in the
wrong,
College
Kayla.
World Series,
and we
too.
got Abilene Christian in here, baby. We're good, Kayla. 100% solid today.
We got two teams that are in the College World Series right now besides your Vols.
Yeah.
That's right. We got Texas A&M, who is winning. And we got Florida State. We all don't want to play again.
And Kentucky. By the way.
Well, yes, and Kentucky.
I ain't even call them what I usually call them. See, I've been a good host.
That's right.
Do it.
My goodness, we do have the College World Series in here.
What's your name again? Alyssa's in here, and she told me where she went to college at.
Where'd she
Kentucky.
go?
She went to Kentucky.
There you go.
See, he calls it Kentucky.
She went serious.
You grabbed that mic away from him. I give you permission.
I got you. My bad. That's on me. That's one. I will never say it again.
Before we get into any more shenanigans on the show, we'll pass that off to Buck Rising because Buck Rising, Lucas Panzica and company are coming up next. But thanks to our guests, Austin Price today of VolQuest, Samaria Terry of News 2. As for us, we're peacing out, taking tomorrow off. We'll see you back in the hood tomorrow. But before that, words of advice.
You must remember good people at all times. Don't bring much back from California, but your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot.
This needs to die now.